Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, amendments to the agenda.
None for me tonight, sir.
Nothing from the board. Approval of the minutes from November 11th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the November 11th meeting.
I'll second that.
And we have a second from Sam. Any omissions, deletions, corrections? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Department head reports.
Just me tonight. And the police chief is on vacation, so there's nothing from the police department.
Okay.
A little bit of correspondence. There's a solar project going in up just off of Airport Road. We received their 45-day advance notice of their certificate of public good petition. So that's moving forward. A little bit from the rest of the departments. The healthcare paperwork is, if the board remembers, we're switching from Blue Cross Blue Shield to MVP. That paperwork went out to staff this week, and they are coming in, they're trickling in, talking to the accountant and signing up. So that's moving forward. Our audit continues. We're providing the information as requested, but it is a little slow going. Just with all the projects we have here in Town Hall, we're doing our best to respond in a timely fashion, but sometimes to the auditor. At the last meeting, the board did approve the LHMP, and that is now filed with the state and the federal government, so that project is actually done this time.
What is LA?
Local Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Mitigation plan. Yep.
From the wastewater department, they intended to camera the sewer drain on 4th Street. That company backed out again. They're having staffing issues. We're gonna give them one more opportunity to come out. We hear they do good work when they're here. So we're gonna give them one more opportunity. If not, we'll move on with life to find somebody else. And wastewater, Carrie at wastewater, she's getting qualifications for engineering for the Adams Street forced sewer main. If you recall, the pump station down at the bottom of Adams Street was redone 5 years ago, but the main itself is way undersized. It's the original main, and it just doesn't. We're pumping as hard as we can, but the pipe just won't take that much liquid. So she's getting qualifications to then do the engineering for that stretch of pipe, as well as rehabbing the manhole right here on West Street and North Park, which that's the junction where all of our wastewater goes, or from the whole village. It all dumps in here and then goes down to the plant. So it's kind of a key component of our collection system. Water, we've talked about it a couple of times, but Mike up at the water plant, he's also meeting with engineers. There is a water leak coming out of that tunnel somewhere straight out of the pond, so Mike's talked to a couple of engineers about that. Also, the filter system, I hope I'm not beating a dead horse, but the filter system does need replacement. He's talking to engineers about that. And we also have grants out to hopefully mitigate the cost on that project. So there's a lot going on with water and wastewater right now. From Public Works, the crew did end up salting the other night when it got a little slick out. They've been staying on top of that. They've also been out cleaning storm drains, marking the storm drains out on the road with paint, so that way when the snow flies, they know where things are at. They're working to get that speed sign up on 4th Street, so if you see them out there, they're putting up the thing that flashes and tells you you're going too fast. They're putting one up there for the police chief.
4th, you said?
4th, yeah, 4th Street, closer to the high school.
Mechanic with school and
Yeah.
Pine.
Yep, exactly right. Maintenance is a top priority for those guys right now. They're getting their equipment, staying on top of their equipment, getting that ready for winter. The sidewalk machine, that sucker needed brakes. It needed a lot of work. So they've been working on that to get that thing up and running. It'll be ready for real winter. If you see them out there, they're also trimming back branches. When we get snow on those branches, they tend to hang low and they'll tend to break off your mirrors. So we're out there making sure that doesn't happen. And then the restrooms down at the ball fields and then up at the airport, both of those have now been winterized and sealed for the winter. So that's done. And I think the cemetery water should be shut off too, but I haven't heard. So that should be turned off presently.
Do they put the Christmas tree up that usually goes up somewhere near the fountain or out there, or is that a touchy subject?
It's not touchy, just it looks so bad. We haven't decided if we're gonna put it.
If you're gonna put it up or
Because
do
it's a
something
small
different?
Charlie Brown Christmas tree like this, and
Yeah.
it's a little shoddy, so.
Okay,
They have it, they asked me, and I said, well, let me think about it. So,
maybe the folks who are working on lighting can
pop it up there?
put a tree up.
My concern.
No.
No, not yet. Big Mike.
For under recreation, we finally got a volunteer basketball coach. We thank the young man for stepping up for that. Erica, the recreation director, has also created a Lego club and then an adult crafting program that meets at the library, which is great. This is part of recreation that we wanted to develop, was not just for the littles, but for the bigs. So she's doing a great job there. And a little bit about our projects. The molding's back in place upstairs. I think there's a small piece that needs to be put up, but the molding and the ceiling is repaired on the second floor. I've reached out to Claire, what's your son's name? I reached out to Claire's son to do some insulation up there, or get a quote to insulate the attic.
Walt?
No.
Roger,
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't heard back from him, but I'm sure he's busy. And I'll start painting in December. We'll be slow those third and fourth week of December, so I'll get up there with a paintbrush and paint that ceiling. And that, gentlemen, is what I have for you.
questions for Joe and Ann?
You said you hired a volunteer coach for the rec for basketball. Do they go through background check and everything else, even though they're volunteer and stuff like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a background check on it.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board for Joe?
I have one. This sign out here that's been down for over a year that was damaged. They took it down for repair. It's not back up yet. We got a couple of cones sitting there on the bases.
Yep.
It's a directional sign.
Yep.
What's the word on that?
So that was gonna be one of my Monday morning projects, my Monday morning maintenance. We're looking for brackets. Apparently these brackets came out of some special something somewhere. I've reached out to the state, because the state installed this, to find out where they got the brackets from, and they have repeatedly ignored me. So at this point, we either order brackets, or we make brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the sign,
It's probably gonna be a springtime
the
project.
sign at the corner of Phelps Avenue and Grape Street was knocked down a few weeks back. They picked it up, but they didn't reinstall it. It should be back up this fairly soon.
And I have one more question. You said the storm drains are clear, and I saw the markings where I walk my dog up around Cemetery Street and around the block. But I do notice the storm drains, the leaves are just pushed out of the way. If they don't get cleaned out, it's just gonna cover back up. And is there like a vacuum system? Like, I know the town of Polton, they go around with this big vacuum system and they suck up all the leaves into a truck. Do we have something like that here? Or no?
It's a shovel.
Shovel, wheel.
They just shovel.
Well,
back
just
to the
cleaning it, if this is the storm drain, just cleaning out like that so you can see it is no help, because the leaves just gonna go back on top of it.
That's correct.
Just
It's
from what I've noticed, walking my dog every night around the
They've gotta
block.
be picked up and disposed of
Yeah,
properly.
I will see what's going on.
thank you. But I did see the markings where they were, obviously, on the corners and stuff.
Yes, Russ.
Just a little comment on that. Sometimes it's just the people living right around there that are just moving the leaves out of the way. So it may not be,
It may not be the road crew.
yeah, it may not be the road crew
but-
yet doing that. I'm just saying.
But either, there is markings around them, so the road crew's been up there.
Yeah.
This is all I'm saying. I did notice the paint, but then on some of the other ones, there's just leaves moved out of the way so you can see the storm drain. Is all I'm saying. I mean, if just move.
I know the one in front of my neighbor's house. Every so often, one of us just goes and gets it.
Good. Moving right along. Old business, there isn't any. New business, local option tax. Joe, I'm gonna let you set that up for us.
So the local option tax is the 1% tax, which we've talked about a few times over the last 5 years maybe, is coming back up. We've talked about it a little bit and we wanted to bring it back up. At a time when inflation and costs have been rising and just astronomical, it's becoming harder and harder, as we see during these budget discussions. It's harder and harder to find the cash to do these large projects and keep our tax rate down. Just as an example, the downtown sidewalk should be replaced, and that's $370,000 almost. The 4th Street sewer that we talked about up here, that's going to be a $500,000 project. The Adams Street Force Main, that's going to be $1.5 to $2 million. South Main, which if you drove on that today, it's a little rough. That whole road needs to be tilled up and rebuilt. Like it's in bad shape, and that's about $250,000. All the projects that I'm looking at here, we're looking at $3.1 million. These are projects that are eminent that we need to take care of. This isn't just something that we got to kick the can down. You can't kick the can on your sewer rate. You can't kick or your sewer collection system or your water distribution system. So unless we find another way to fund this, either through taxes or through raising the water rates, which is just as bad, the town will see these increases year after year after year, and I don't think anybody wants that. So as an option to that, in lieu of raising taxes and water rates, we'd like to talk about the 1% option tax, which is the additional 1% on sales tax that you would pay if you bought something here in town or bought something online that was shipped to Fairhaven. Not to break it down too much, but things that are not taxed, food, clothing, that's not taxed. Your heating oil, not taxed. Gasoline, also not in the 1%. What is taxed is just your water bottles, your phones, the other things in life that you buy. A conservative estimate based on what I've received from the state is the town would be able to capture about $206,000 with what we know today. This is conservative. This does not take into account online sales. It doesn't take into account cannabis, because cannabis is also taxed at that 1%. We have 2 shops that we can collect from. So
That's 6,000 a year?
206,000 a year.
206, oh.
To put that into perspective, we spend 180,000 just on paving. That's in the budget. So that's more than your entire paving budget. Questions?
I would imagine it would be very hard to estimate a precise figure on the revenue that's going to be generated from the online sales. Is there any data that might help us, like perhaps like a ratio of local sales to online sales that other towns around Vermont see, where we could kind of wrap our head around what the number might be?
I don't, because it's such a large and soft number, I didn't like to say, but other towns that have done this, they've seen almost double that much. So the 206, it could be double that much based on online sales.
Right, most towns that have put the option tax in, they put their estimate of what they're gonna bring in, and they've been exceeding it by quite a bit, and I think it's because of the online piece you're talking about, Sam, but yeah.
We did reach out to an economist up north in Burlington to get this information, to try to figure out what this looks like. And Amazon obviously is the big dog in the online sales, and they're not telling us. It's their proprietary information they're not sharing.
And to be clear, it's not just Amazon as a retailer, it's any online retailer that would deliver a shipment to.
Exactly.
Right. So the purpose of us talking about tonight, you're just coming back, asking us to make sure, because I think we asked you that, hey, look into trying to see if we can put down the ballot in March. And you're checking in to say, do you still want to do that, board? And if you do, we need to, what we're looking at for those that are sitting out here is what we used last time for the information sheet. We need to tweak it a little bit more, is why we don't have copies for everybody. But the process would be, if you still want to go ahead, it's the first question. And if it is, then we'd go and clean this up. Probably need an information meeting so we can get this out online and people can come in and talk. And if they have any concerns or whatever, we can hopefully answer those questions before we get there. And then it comes to the issue of trying to communicate the need and what we can do with it. Is that's what you're looking for?
Yeah, I could use the green light from the board to move forward. And I don't need necessarily a vote, just to, consensus.
Is the consensus of the board?
Go ahead, Rich, I'm sorry. Well, I'm a big advocate to push this forward. Reason being, everybody in town that you talk to, including myself and a couple of board, infrastructure is the biggest thing in our town. This would help us tremendously. And people always think, well, no, you're raising my taxes. Think of it outside the box. You say it's not going to go against our groceries, our clothing, our home fuel, cars, whatnot. Everybody that comes into town that shops in Fairhaven, we're going to tax them. Everybody shops in Rutland. Everybody does. I shop, you all shop. You don't realize it, but you're paying for theirs. You're paying for their infrastructure. Everybody does. You do it in Rutland Town, you do it in Killington, wherever you go, they have a option tax. I would love to push this through because it would save the town and taxpayers money in the long run in the future. We got to think of down the road, not yesterday. So before people can go, well, you're not raising my, think before you just blurt out, I don't want my taxes raised more than what they already are. Nobody wants that. So please, if you shop out of town, think you're paying somebody else's as well. Let them come to our town, let them help us pay for ours. I'm a big proponent on this. I'm sorry if I'm getting too in depth, but this has got to be brought up. And I
think you'll like it, so we're okay.
Well, it's just my personal opinion, and I'm for this.
Thank you.
Well,
Rich, you had
yeah,
something you wanted to.
I do, and we talked about, what, $3 or $4 million we're gonna have to spend on infrastructure just a few minutes ago. That's gonna put if we was to raise that money through our regular property taxes right now, we're talking double-digit increases in taxes for fun, maybe even more than that. Other people come through town and they spend $1 or $2, they pay a couple of cents for our infrastructure. Great idea. We're never gonna spend that much money on the option tax right here. The people themselves, the taxpayers themselves, to make up for what we'd have to increase their property taxes to compensate for not having this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does to me.
I'm for it myself. I think it's a great idea. I don't see how we can do it without, when we cannot kick the can down the road with our infrastructure. Because you know what happens when we do.
Chad, anything you want to add, or?
No, that usually leads to a yes when I say no to start with.
Please.
I was a proponent before, and I understand why the taxpayers were hesitant before. When we voted on it, I believe most towns in our surrounding area did not have the options tax, right? So there was this sentiment that people would go away and save themselves a percentage on the dollar. That has changed, that's shifted over the last few years, but I think about this idea of like affordability, right? And so it seems counterintuitive to say, hey, let's increase certain items by 1% on tax, right? But at the end of the day, the things that we are unable to afford ultimately might increase our property taxes even further. And there may be no way around future bonds for some of the infrastructure we have to do. But if we can tackle some other items without having property taxes increased and having folks who are not from this area help out with it, I think it's worth considering. I'm interested to see what the residents of Fairhaven think about it now versus four years ago or so. So I'm looking forward to an info session.
Okay. Sam, anything you want to add?
Was there I know we've talked about the objections to the last time we proposed this coming largely from the local business owners and the difficulties that they might experience trying to calculate these taxes and update their point of sales to collect it. Were there any other coherent arguments that we can recall from that time?
I remember one time in particular, Mr. Scott, Carl Scott, he had said, this is a regressive tax. Right? This is going to negatively impact the poorer among the less affluent among us. I didn't research that. So, but our the basics aren't impacted by the 1%. So the food, the water, the gasoline, the heating oil.
But you hit the main. I think that like anything else new, I don't want to speak for our business people, but there was the concern of it's going fine. I don't need you to add extra work for me, or I'm concerned about do I have to buy some new system that's going to cost and money and get in my profits. So I think those were the big ones. I do believe that when we come back for our information meetings, I don't know, might be helpful when we say infrastructure. That can be a lot of things. And I thought Rich did a good job saying we need this and this. But I'd like to hear at the information meetings, we've talked a lot about sidewalks, for example, and paving. And when we did water and sewer in June, of how much money it was going to cost with these aging sewer lines and water lines that we have a whole lot to replace. I'd be interested in getting from our taxpayers when they come in, okay, let's say if we did put the 1% option tax in, is there a priority of where you'd want? Because if I was sitting on the other side of this table, I say, okay, you're going to make all this money. Where are you going to put it? Is it something that I care about, or is it something? Or because if it's something that you care about and I don't, help me understand why I should care about it. So if more we can do to help us out on that in our information sheet, I think would help us.
That's a good idea.
But it sounds like pretty much we're nodding our heads and saying, go forward. You've got what you're looking for, and that's a lot.
The big thing with infrastructure, in my view, is basically we're here for public safety and infrastructure. Okay? Water, probably the most important. Sewer, probably second most important. Then we have safety, public safety. Put your sidewalks, good pavement. And those are the top 3 to 4. Beyond that, let's see what happens after that. But I mean, we gotta take care of those 4 things are very important.
So do we have to bring up a motion to carry forward
No,
this?
we just would do
go
a
ahead?
consensus of the board. The minutes should reflect the consensus of the board as we want to move forward. I'd like to think what that looks like is, Joe, that we clean this up a little bit. And I saw on our schedule, I think our last meeting in December, we talk about what's going to go on. Now, what I'm not real comfortable with is saying, probably the information meeting, if we make our decision what's gonna go on, what's the timing for an information meeting? I wanna make sure that we're not rushed. If we push it out too late, it doesn't get us there where we can tweak it again. Do we need an information meeting, at our meeting,
We,
even if it's the last meeting that we have, on the 23rd?
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we may-
December 23rd would be ideal, in fact.
we may have to even put one in between, a meeting in between if we need an informational meeting.
I think the 23rd would be, I think that's a good spot for it. We have one more meeting after that to finalize the budget, and then the week after that is when the warning is signed, so.
So if
Yeah,
we-
that gives you a good 2-3
at
weeks.
the 23rd,
to
if we
wrap it
hear
up.
things that we wanna tweak, we can finalize at the first meeting in January, and then I'm just
Yeah,
making
that
sure
works.
that the timing worked for everything.
Does that work for the board? 23rd for informational?
Does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I would just like to say one thing, I'd like to have everybody keep a very open mind with this, because it's very, very important. Think about it, don't think about just paying taxes. Think about how you can pay taxes less in the future.
I think that's where my comment and heightened got to. I think just keep open and think about the future, not what was behind us, just.
okay. Rose, you wanna add something?
I would be interested in knowing if we did not put this 1% tax through, how much, a general percentage of how much our property taxes or our water taxes would have to be raised in order for us to accommodate these imminent projects.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Does that make sense? Did I make?
Yeah, I
I
know.
can give you a rough.
Just a rough, I mean, you,
So the proposed budget what I'm looking at today is 2.4 million. The projects are, what did I say, 3 point something million. So it would double the budget. And that doesn't equate to a doubled tax rate, but it would be, if you did it all in one shot, it would be a significant jump in your taxes.
But I understand what you're
I'd
asking for.
like
I understand what you're
a
asking
little
for, and we'll
more-
try to get in the information sheet something that would help show, if you didn't do it, what does that mean? Not only in money, but here's that wish list we have of things that need to be done. If you don't have the money, instead of doing it, that it should be done in this time frame, everything moves out. You gotta use the money. So what's your completion timetables or, yeah. Good. I'm going to move on to item B, zoning board of adjustment appointment.
Yeah, so we lost,
Debbie.
Deb Iacona, she resigned from the zoning board. The zoning board would like to have Jim Lynch appointed.
James Lynch Jr.
James.
From West Street?
Yes.
Cool. I'll entertain a motion to appoint James Lynch to the zoning board of adjustment.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jim Lynch to the zoning board of adjustment with his term expiring in March 2027.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
We now have a new member of the zoning board of adjustment.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item on my agenda is police cruiser discussion. Can we move?
No, is it okay if we, so I told the chief I'd try to pull some numbers together for police cruiser purchase, but I didn't get there. So can we punt this to the next meeting?
We're gonna be talking at our next meeting about the police budget, and for me, I think it's a more appropriate
Makes
place to
more
have
sense.
the discussion on the cruisers when we're doing the whole police budget anyway, so don't beat yourself up too bad. I mean that,
He's not here to get at me, so he's on vacation.
Just looking for one point of clarification. I know at our last meeting, we were discussing one vehicle, but two vehicles are now up for discussion.
Well,
Is that right?
in the best of all worlds, he does have two vehicles that are pretty aged for police cars.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out a way to make it happen.
Okay.
Whether it's possibly two used. I don't want to speak for the chief because he's the one that wheels deals, but
He'll be here on the meeting on the 9th on a budget that is very tight to begin with. I'd like him to be here so he can talk as well, so all the more reason. So the minutes will show that we're pushing the police cruiser discussion. You got it on there and we pushed it out to next meeting. Okay, budget review. And go ahead.
if I could make just a couple of quick.
Comments?
I made a couple of adjustments between meetings. It was requested to add secretarial services to the zoning board of adjustment in the amount of $1,000. And under health insurance, which is page 9, because we're moving to a new health insurance plan, we're saving $26,000. So you'll see a reduction in health insurance there.
Okay.
Is there a line item under which the secretarial budget for the ZBA would fall?
It should be page 3 marked in red.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a new line
I think
item.
it's there. It's a new line
Yes,
item.
highlighted.
It's all red, yep.
Yep. Okay, yes.
Yeah, how would that secretarial budget be spent? Would there be someone hired, or
That's the minute taker.
is it Claire?
No,
Oh, it's
I
not
think,
you?
I think it's
Oh,
Ms.
it's
Jackson.
Jenny. I'm sorry, Jenny Jackson.
They're the same one who takes the minutes for the planning commission will be doing that. And I understand, Rose shared with us before the meeting about the board of, zoning board of adjustment has gone from where it used to be only a few times, they seem to be meeting a lot. And there's a lot going on, and that's some of the stimulus for, we really don't want to lose anything. Go ahead.
I just reiterate, because like Sam wasn't here. I was an alternate for 5 years. This year in the spring, I became a regular member of the zoning board. In the 5 years I was an alternate, there might have been 5 or 6 meetings, like total for the 5 years. Wow. Since the spring, we've had 8 hearings this year. So I'm hoping, please, that it's gonna slow down a little bit. But just for the record, I just wanted you guys to understand, we really need our minute taker. She has been a big asset to the meetings that we've had, and I want to give a shout out to our clerk, Paul Jardine. He has been phenomenal. He has brought an awful lot to that position that we haven't had before, and I was the previous clerk, so believe me, I know he's bringing an awful lot to it. So just wanted to point that out.
Any other general comments about the budget before we get started going through?
No, sir.
Okay. Why don't we do this by start with the select board in anything under select board that the board wants to highlight or talk about.
The line item for economic development that falls under the select board, what is that typically applied to?
What is it, what, do they expense it?
Yeah, how is it spent?
Where did that 4,494 that shows,
Oh,
Yeah,
it
five-
could go from, oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Economic studies, this year we did some food truck frenzy stuff. I think some of it went to the flower program.
Fairhaven Blooms, you
Yeah.
also, probably some of it went to, you saw the pamphlets at the Welcome Center, and
No, yeah.
there's quite a bit, the budget, even though when I said it was a $5,000 budget this year, and, basically, that got spent. I know that, the Economic Development and Downtown Partnership would like to see, not only, that's zeroed out here, but not only would like to see that 5,000 go to, I think it was 7,000, don't let me misspeak.
8,000.
It was 8,000, they were looking for 8,000 to do things.
So this is the same. I wasn't sure if there was a separate line item for economic development
No.
that was specifically
This
applied to
is-
EDC.
this
This
is-
is the budget.
This is for the Economic Development and Downtown Partnership.
Okay.
So long as we're discussing that, is saying, that, again, the reason for the zero, I'll try to jump in and tell me if I misspeak. Joe came here with the goal that we told him earlier on to have a 3% increase. And in an effort to get there, he went and took and got it one that got us to where he was told to go. Now we're here talking about it, and since the initial one was shown, I think we've heard things like, could really use an increase to 8,000. I started from the point of saying, need at least 5,000. I'm saying an increase would be nice, but at least 5,000, the work that's going for application for downtown partnership and all that says that you should actually show a funding stream. And so how you're increasing the funding stream is some of the verbiage around that. So I think it was Bob Richards also, from past minutes, said, hey, you really got to have something there. I'm just going from memory, so don't hold me to it from some minutes and stuff, but he said, hey, you really need to have something there. So looking at that line item, which is 010, and it's 3,000-63.0, that one, I know it's a tight budget, but we have to put at least, in my mind, we need at least 5. And if I'm going from what I was said, I know you're asking for 8, and I'm saying we have to show that we're trying to, because we're doing more. Do we put 6 grand? I know it's not 8,000, but do we put 6 grand and say, look, folks, it was a tough budget. We not only maintained the budget, but we went up. The only other history I can give you is when we talked last fall at this time frame, we put 10,000 in, and in order to get us back to a manageable budget for March, we cut that in half to 5,000 is how it got to be 5. The budget was 10. So I don't think 8 is asking for, you're still trying to claw your way back to the 10. I get it, but I'd be curious, I've been doing a lot of talking. What are your thoughts, Board?
Excuse me, before we do that, I mean, that information I feel like is knowledge, so if I can, I'd love to share everything that we've done and what the reasons are specifically for what we're asking for, if that's okay. 'Cause
And what we're planning.
that's the only way we can really make
It's-
an informed decision, and then if you don't want to do that, that's respectfully
I'm
your
okay
decision.
with
I think that would
Is
be,
that okay?
that would be consistent with, for most of the budget ones, we bring the person ahead. Like we had the fire department, we bring the people from water and sewer. It's a little unique that we put economic development in with select board, so go ahead.
Is this a good time?
Go ahead, and
Okay.
now you can, I only ask that we try to be cognizant of,
Oh, Glenn, you know me, I'm
the
efficient.
length of the
I'm
presentation.
very efficient, you
Okay.
know that. thank you for the reminder on it. I really appreciate that. So, as you know, this is zeroed out. You all have this information, which has sent a really big voice and message to everyone watching this in our town and in the outlying towns, as well as Rutland, since they published it in the Rutland Herald, that the economic development and business partnership in this town has no value. That's what this statement says. This should have never been zeroed out in the first place, and to say that we have to claw our way back is insulting, really. Out of this entire budget, as complicated as budgets are, they're also pretty simple.
I just want to interrupt you for a minute.
You can't interrupt me. I'm speaking.
I will interrupt you to say
I
that
respectfly don't interrupt you,
No.
so I am asking you
I'm going to tell
respectfully
you
not interrupt
that
me.
you can give us information. You will not take a swipe at the town manager or anyone else for how it got there. Now go ahead
I
and
cannot take a
if you
swipe
can
at the town
if you can
manager.
get off from that and just talk about what you have in front of you, that's what I'd like to see. So now go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I'm glad that you can decide when you can interrupt people and when you can be respectful and when you can't, because Joe certainly doesn't know when he can be respectful. That is a fact, and he's proven it. So, what we have accomplished as an economic development committee, which I gave you several weeks ago, so you had time to look it over and say if you had any questions. We accomplished in the fiscal year 25-26, Fairhaven Blooms. So, if you aren't familiar with what Fairhaven Blooms is, these are just a couple of flyers that were distributed around town.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was just essentially a community-based project to create beautification, to try to bring people together. There is something that's basically social revenue, where when people are bonding and connecting, then they look out for each other. They look out for their neighbors. Maybe they ask them to water their lawn or check in on their mail, watch over their house. We've proven that time and time again, even just through this event in the downtown corridor. I was told when we started this, which was to bring the community together, to plant and to create some beautification, that everything would be vandalized, and we are 9 months in, nothing was touched, and in fact the opposite. When I was out watering frequently through the entire season, many of the houseless people or people that may have been a little bit more transient offered to help me. And so it had the opposite effect. Since then, most of the money that was behind this was fundraised, and I did not lean on many of the small businesses. I went to big corporations like Home Depot, who donated a lot of the planters, the plants, everything. And so we got a lot of support. It was 5 months to put that together, and it's been extremely successful on little to no budget. And we've been able to maintain them now throughout the year. We just most recently went out and foraged in the forest to get pine cones and leaves and the greenery that we use for the holidays, push them up against the buildings, and so it looks, very festive, and there's solar lights in them to add some light to the downtown. So that's the Fairhaven Blooms. It has been something that started just this past year. We'd like to continue. The brochures for the town I just picked up yesterday, the brand new ones that now include Ann's business, which is Alchemy. For those of you who may not have seen our brochures, it also includes the new wonderful bakery that we have in town. And it includes your son's businesses that are in there, as well as all of the businesses of the downtown. So if you haven't seen it, we put this in 3 visitor centers. Our visitor center, would you like one?
Thank you.
Is the second most busy visitor center in the state of Vermont. We see 140,000 people right there, and there was no representation in our visitor center. So we had 1,000 of these printed. I made them, and when we had them printed, and we have gone through all 1,000, which is why now we have the new ones that I just picked up. The budget on that originally was somewhere in the realm of $900, and it is now, because we have everything in the pipeline, it went down to $600. It also lists our events on the back that we do for the town. So it's a great promotional mechanism. I brought in the 800 there, and I have a few to distribute to our local businesses who use them and pass them around town. I also take them myself to Poultney, Castleton, and Rutland. Fairhaven's Friends Packs. This cost us $100 to produce. They are free. They go out to anybody in the community who wants them, employees, business owners, people that live in the surrounding towns. And basically it's a buy locals program. So it's a great way for people to have their customers supported, to have people spend money in the town of Fairhaven. And each person that participates, business-wise, they put the sticker on their door, and they can provide any discount they want at any time they want. So these are the participating businesses so far, because this has just been launched this year. There's 8 businesses. They're all our local businesses who are excited and on board, and they think it's a wonderful program. And like I said, this cost a grand total of $100 to get people spending money in the town and supporting business. The IBC, we already know what they do. I think most everyone knows what they do. They focus a lot on the park, Touch a Truck, the Sticks in the Park. They do a lot of wonderful things to support our local park area, and they are funded through us. They're funded inside of the economic development. We also did the community board and UHAR Here map, which is not up yet, but the board is up in the park. The small business revolving loan program that's been going on, that continued. We also supported the new business grant application for the bakery that is now up and running and is fabulous. We approved a month ago the Small Business Stimulus Incentive Grant, which basically is currently at $1,000, and that establishes if one person wants to open a new business in town and they come in, give us a business plan, we decide, okay, we will grant you $1,000 to help you get up and running, because initial costs are so high when you have to set up internet and get signage and things like that, with the understanding that you have to stay in business for at least 2 years minimum. That's something we just passed in the last month. We applied for the grant applications for the lights in the park, and it is my understanding that was rejected, but we did apply for that through the AARP grant program. We also provided welcome baskets to the realtors for new homeowner clients that included the brochures, the Fairhaven Pass, and the newsletter. We did a revitalization project where I went to people I knew in the town and asked them if they would be interested in painting the bike racks and the bus stop, which they did, and it looks amazing and beautiful. That was 100% volunteer. We added social media presence, so we're now on Instagram and highlighting positive community projects. The bike program that I've started is just now underway, but some of you, maybe all of you, know Tim Johnson, who had the bike shop in Poultney, and he and his family relocated to Canada. So I asked him if he would mind donating 2 bikes to our town that we could have here, where people could then check them out for free, kind of like the library, and have a resource for people to get around, whether they're visiting or if they are here in town and maybe their car breaks down and they need a way to get around town. So we've just started that bike program and hope to get it up and running, but big thanks to Tim Johnson for that. And then we did the food truck frenzy, as everybody knows, and so that was a huge success, and we'd like to keep that program going and expand it to 6 months. So from 3 months to 6 months, where we'd run it May to October. It was a great way to generate revenue for the community and also build a lot of community and have people out and about. So that's what we accomplished with $5,000 in the fiscal year of 2026. For the proposal of 27, so if you want to pass that around, I'll appreciate that. So I'm also going to pass around, this is something, thank you very much, Anne, for printing these out. This is an explanation of our micro grant application and budget that we have just passed in our very last meeting. So this is brand new information. There's for you and for you. You're welcome. So I'll start here with, everybody got the proposal, right? The 27 proposal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the 27 proposal, for the $8,000, the top one says small business grant incentive. That's the one I just told you about that's currently at $1,000. Our hope is that if we can get it to $2,000, that then we have 2 businesses that we can support. These monies, it's important to explain that this ask of $8,000 isn't actually with the intent to spend all of it. It's to earmark this money and make it go as far and wide as we can, and then to come in under budget. That's always the goal, right? So the idea would be that we earmark $2,000 and we try to get as many businesses as possible. And this is actually inclusive, because I'm a big proponent of promoting the youth. And so this is also for youth-based entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that $1,000 has to go to one business. It could mean that a high school person wants to start a lawn service and they need a little help getting a lawnmower, for example. That could be applied to something like this, because it's important that we validate the youth trying to start up and to encourage them, and for it not to feel so impossible or elusive to do some kind of work and work for themselves. So that could include youth entrepreneurship. The Downtown Micro Grant Program, that's what each of you just got, and it is $2,000 to be divided amongst 6 businesses in the downtown. I personally have already gone to 4 who all want to do it. So if there are more than 6 that apply, they would then need to come in and talk to us and explain what their needs, desires, or wants are. It was Anne who came up with this, and it's a wonderful idea. As you can see, the breakdown is 6 micro grants that are either matching or direct, $200 earmarked in that, supplies $400, marketing $400. And so this can be broken down in a lot of different ways. The application itself is very simple, so it's not a complicated thing for a busy business owner to try to go for. Do you want to add some explanations on it, or?
So my thought is that this will help beautify downtown. It's money that businesses wouldn't have, for like window displays. We can buy decorations that each business can share at different points. They can, like for 4th of July, they can get flags or something, or Christmas decor. Just things that make downtown look more appealing to people coming in. It raises the morale of downtown, of all the businesses downtown, because it shows the town cares and they're willing to help to get where it needs to be. It makes them look a lot more attractive. It makes the downtown look more attractive to people coming in, or new people who might want to come in, or people who might want to start a business here. They're like, oh, hey, this looks nice. I could have a business right here.
So it works both sides. It creates an attraction for people to choose Fairhaven and not Poultney or Castleton or any other area to open a business. And then once they do open the business, it provides beautification and allure to people who may want to come here and spend money. It is a fact that at least 80% of people that visit towns make their decisions based on aesthetic. That is a huge factor. They want to go somewhere that's nice and that looks nice and that feels nice. And I don't mean fancy when I say nice. I mean clean, pleasant, something that feels fun, attractive.
Can we try to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes?
Sure thing.
Thank you.
So the idea here with the economic development is not to draw upon the town's resources, but to try to actually find ways to generate revenue, to bring money into the community and to keep the money flowing. This is not intended to draw money out of the community. So for example, the big one here, the food truck frenzy. The earmark ask is $2,000, and that's to do 6 whole months, one a month for 6 months. And that expense, it's through musicians, advertising, banners, balloons, all the things that go into the creation of this event. However, our intention is to also charge for the vendors, charge for the food trucks. And if you take those calculations, which is approximately $300 per event to break down the 2,000. Based on our experience, because Ann and I were pretty much the forefront of the frenzies, is that we can generate a minimum of $400 per event. In other words, it could be a surplus immediately. And the idea would be to not continue asking, so next, if this theory holds, that it would not only pay for itself, which means the budget next year for that would be 0, but there would also be enough surplus to give that money back to the town to fix up the gazebo, for example. That's the intent with that program, is that you're creating a successful program that also generates money to then put back into the town.
I like it. However, is 2,000 enough, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but there may have been some supplementing of the budget for the food truck frenzy, in particular porta potty expense, right? Like, is 300 per event enough to cover costs so that other line items aren't paying for that expense?
It's a great question. I am definitely a frugal fanny. And so as we went through, we learned, for example, the very first one, we paid for a photographer. The successive ones, we found someone for free. So I went to Brooks Farms and picked up 30 pumpkins myself, and they donated those for free. So, a lot of what I do and what this is hundreds of hours of going around and getting things for free that people donate generously and kindly. And then the budget money is minimal to none. So we did shave down. Also, Anne found a much less expensive musician who was very interactive with the kids. For Fairhaven Blooms, I just called the high school and I said, would you like the band to play? And they came out and they played through the whole event for free, and they loved it.
Awesome.
And it was wonderful. And the karate studio did demonstrations. And so some of this is, as the programs grow, we figure out, or you make relationships where you find, I can actually save money on a musician or a photographer, and, so on and so forth. The guy who took this, what do you call it? Not Zoom. Drone. Did this for free for us.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? So these are, the hope always is to come in under budget and to not have to spend this type of money. That's the goal. And especially with the frenzy, the idea is to have it be profitable. So that profitable only in the sense that then that money comes back to the community. I just picked the gazebo randomly, but it could be anything that you want it to be.
I actually have a question. I have a couple questions. You're asking, it says here 8,000, right? You had 5,000, you went to 0. Now, over here you're looking for 2,000. Is that on top of the 5,000, or do you want to add that to the 8,000?
I'm not
That
sure what you're
2,000 is
pointing
the
at.
same as
As
this
just
2,000.
okay.
Yeah, this is just a
Okay.
breakdown so that I felt like it wasn't fair to just come in and go, oh, can we have 8,000 and not explain.
And you're looking for 2,000 for the food truck frenzy? Did I misunderstand
It's
that
all
part?
included.
2,000.
Okay.
It's all included. So the grants, the micro grant, all of this is included.
This all
Okay.
adds up to the 8,000.
Okay. And one other thing, with these cards here, these are the store taking part in that. Could like the truck stop, other gas stations, and say like McDonald's, can they all take part in that if you were to ask them?
Absolutely.
And they set their own discount?
Absolutely. Yep,
You just present this.
exactly. So what you do is you make it as easy for the owners and the customers as possible. And,
Thank you
know,
guys for what you're doing. I think this is a great idea, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
And we kept it, you can see if you read the back, I think it says,
Yeah.
there's no percentage, and it just says valid at participating stores, and it doesn't say like timeline or percentages. And that way, like for instance, Bagel Bob, I think he was discounting a coffee or giving a coffee, and you can
awesome.
change it as much as possible. Ann does it, we do it.
10% off.
You know, we're just trying to create community, develop some business ideas without breaking the bank is the goal.
Other questions?
I'm just looking to clarify, food truck frenzy, does that live in EDDP's budget or Rec's budget? Or a combination of both?
Well, don't know.
Yeah, it was split last year. We took a chunk out of rec. But I think EDDP, the volunteers of EDDP handled that for a good portion of it. Erica also helped.
Okay.
And my understanding is it's in the EDDP only this year.
Okay.
And I do have a question, getting back more in line with this budget that we're supposed to be discussing.
Right.
We had $5,000 last year. Here in November, whatever today's date is, we're at 5.41% of that 5,000 we used, which is $270.60. Is some of that money that we've spent so far come out of something else that should have come out of this?
It sounds like it's not updated.
This is today's
Today's general ledger.
general ledger.
See,
Well-
see what he's just saying is, I might be sitting here saying maybe you
Don't-
get
I
to
mean,
6,000.
I'm just
Is there, what
thinking.
he's saying is, it looks like you've got the balance plus still in there.
We don't. So Mike is our treasurer. I thought he was zooming in tonight, but he has a spreadsheet that has the breakdown. Some of the money that's already been spent is the IBC, some of the IBC money, also the brochures, which I'm not sure if you wait until you're billed till you take that out, because they wouldn't have billed you yet, because I just picked these up yesterday. So if you haven't, if that doesn't come out till after the town is billed, you wouldn't see that on there yet. Does that make sense?
Yep, and the budget he's looking at goes to July 1
Correct.
of 2026.
Correct.
So we're just trying to say, okay, where is the money's,
Right, and some of it's held back intentionally, like it's a managed budget. So for instance, the Bloom's budget that's in there is also being held back so that I can work with that as we get into the spring season. So, because of the year running through July. So it's intentional that it's all not blown or spent at this very moment.
any other questions? Because we really do need to,
Thank
Okay,
you for
Move
answering
on.
mine.
thank you,
Thanks, Laura.
thank
Thank
you.
you, Laura.
Appreciate your
Good-
time
good-
and your effort.
good.
Thank you.
understanding of that. So with that, board, what's your pleasure?
I'm not sure if I got a good explanation of this amount here, that's what I'm worried about.
That we've only showed
we're-
$270.60 out of the 5,000
Yeah, something,
that's been
I-
used since
I mean, this,
Well, it's
July 1.
just because we have,
There may be invoices that are sitting on a desk that we haven't been paid, I heard.
And we're earmarking some of that grant money so that if in January, for example, someone says they want to open a business, we have the grant money to give them.
Joe, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, so this, like you had said, it goes through July, so if you have a food truck frenzy in May and June, then some of that money would go towards that.
Would
So
go to
you-
that.
It's like rec, it'll span over two
I
seasons, so you'll see
understand
a
that part.
little
I'm
bit.
just trying to calculate in my pea brain, I guess they wanna call it here, that, $3,000 more, is that gonna help or hinder the situation here at all?
Did we give out any grants since July of 2025 for small businesses? That would have existed in the
The
budget
actual-
for 20.
The actual that ended, I don't know if the question is, and I'm gonna try to answer it for you, I think, if our calendar year for 2025 ended July 1, there was a $5,000 budget, and it pretty much was spent. So we know, and without, on top of, and that was what was going on before. What's new is we now have 3 months additional food truck frenzy. Also have the Fairhaven Downtown Micro Grant Program. So understand that if we kept it the same, none of this new stuff
Can happen.
would be budgeted. At the end of the day, you can't, we just
Okay.
don't have the money. So it's a decision we make that if we say 5,000 stay the same, that means this stuff does not. You get the brochures, IBC, you'll do some Fairhaven balloons, but none of this other stuff will happen. So what your decision you're making here is to say, and if you go from 5,000 to add just, say, 2,000, you're still gonna probably come up short from what they wanna do.
I just wanted to highlight what I was gearing towards with my question was the possibility that even if we earmark $2,000 for the grant incentive, $2,000 for the micro grant program, it's conceivable that we might not have enough applicants in a given year where all of that money would be
That you may not,
right.
that is true, you may not use
But it
it.
would carry over to the,
And
It does not
It
carry
doesn't
over.
carry over, but
it doesn't,
she just said it
Well, it
would.
would carry
Then
over.
she's
if
wrong,
we
it won't.
Approved it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Because like if, let's say it doesn't get used, and then next year we're right here again, and we're asking for it to be continued or carried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
We'd have to
I
approve
think
it.
they're doing a pretty good job of, we went from spending what we thought we had and I thought, Mike's doing an excellent job of putting a spreadsheet together. Here's what we're spending, here's the plan, so we can really show everyone where that money's going. That's not the question really right now. The question I have is, what do you think?
Yeah, so I go back to like the revolving loan fund, right? We put X amount in it, we saw how successful it was, and then we increased it. My thinking on this budget is, what if the board's struggling with an $8,000 figure, what if we were to look at it and say 1,000 to the small business grant incentive, 1,000 to the micro grant program, so you've got 1 startup and 5 micro grant, see how successful it is, and then add to it based on the information that we have in the following year. That's my thinking.
Go ahead.
I believe, if understanding, they're big advocates of wanting to bring new business into town. I'm a huge advocate of wanting to bring business into this town. If they're helping us by bringing business into this town, why are we strong-arming them on not giving them the 8,000?
Thank you. I
There's-
agree.
No, I'm just trying to figure this, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this as well, my small pea brain as well.
I wanna make sure we're representing all sides.
Okay.
These are truly beautification projects. I believe there's a large segment of our taxpayers that are saying, there's a certain amount of beautification I'll support. But when it comes to if I make the decision, and we're making some tough decisions around other line items in this budget. All of this stuff we need, and would like, before you go jumping in, all this stuff we really need to do. But be careful about the last person that talks to you gets what they are looking for. You only got so much to deal with.
That's not what I was saying. I was just trying to, on my clarification on,
If you're saying for economic development, let me help you with that. Economic development, if you're saying that I needed $8,000 to help push the Skyline project, which is actually gonna bring jobs and people buying homes and everything, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. There are places where you can say, wait just a minute, where would $2,000 additional will have a significant impact on what economic development and downtown partnership wants to do. It's huge for people who have a small budget. It also may be huge because we're trying to find money, 2,000 here, 3,000 there. Folks, at the end of the day,
I need to clarify something though.
Go ahead.
Because I think the term beautification makes it appear that it's a kind of a superficial plant flowers. But let me clarify that these micro grants are for actual tangible improvements like signage. For example, I interviewed some fellow business owners, downtown business owners, and I asked them, how's your business doing? And if the answer is good or better, why do you think so? And one of the people that I interviewed was the karate studio, Karen. And I said, is your business better? And she said it is. And I said, what can you attribute that to? Well, one of the things is that when I asked our clients how they found out about us, website, social media, 90%, and I mean the Pulteney, Castleton, they come from everywhere, drive by. Put in some neon signs that cost $100, convinced her to do that as well. Her business went up. Took her brochures, increased the exposure of foot traffic, talked about some other sign type things we could do to attract, and have done that with other business owners. And so that's what, this isn't beautification, this is.
I'm just using, but wait a minute, I'm just using your own words. It's
I'm just
where it says
clarifying
beautification micro grant. My only advice to you is take that beautification word out of there. It's downtown micro grant project.
May I drive the discussion for just a moment?
Sure,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Okay, so we have just under looking at the breakdown of the proposed budget here. $750 for the IBC. Is anyone considering taking $750 away from the IBC? And just yes or no, like that's what I'm looking for. Would anybody?
But before you go, the IBC had 2,000. When I looked at the 750, I looked and said they look like the IBC got shortchanged
That's what they
in
asked
the budget. But
I asked
if they
them,
got what they
that's what they
want,
asked.
fine, go ahead.
I'm asking to drive the discussion. So my question
ahead.
is anyone proposing taking away $750 from the IBC?
No,
Is anyone proposing that we need less than $750 for brochures?
no.
Is anyone proposing that, like, does $500 for Fairhaven Blooms seem fair?
That's less than they did before. We'd be crazy not to support it.
And Joe, you were intimately involved with the food truck frenzy this past year. I personally enjoyed them. I'd like to see more of them next year. Does $2,000 in your estimation, Joe, seem like a fair earmark for the expenses of the food truck frenzy?
You can get by, but they could use more.
okay.
Okay, so we're not going to reduce it. No, I'm driving the discussion here for a moment.
But a question for you who's driving the discussion. I heard comments about charging people and having some pay for itself. I would really like to see that $2,000, like to see them start paying for themselves sooner rather than later.
Well, we can't until it exists.
It already existed, but
No,
go ahead.
the next one will be
Go.
May.
No, I got us off.
So
Go ahead.
we agree that 2,000 at a minimum is a fair budget for the food truck.
I don't agree with that. I would give them 1,000. But that's me.
Okay, well we can
Okay.
discuss
I just
that.
didn't want you to drive in the discussion.
No, that's fair. I appreciate that. Okay. So setting the food truck frenzy aside for a moment and just looking at the small business grant incentive and the downtown micro grant program, to my earlier point, we can earmark $2,000 each for both of those. And in theory, there may not be enough applicants over the course of a given budget year where all of that money will be spent. I think if we all really looked at each other, we would agree that if there were enough applicants to spend $4,000 in a given budget year on both of those things, we would like to see that, right? That would speak well of our community. That would. And if it were spent, then we might even consider in future budget years increasing those programs if it were stimulating the local economy. Maybe you disagree.
I put 1,000 in each of them, and once you spend that and show me it's being used, then come back and ask for more.
Okay.
That's what I would be doing.
Okay.
But only because, again, it's a tight budget. I don't have a money tree that it seems like some
Hey,
people
no.
think we have.
None
Well,
of
there's
it.
10,000 allocated for the concerts, and a lot of the committee is retired or quit, and so it's being rebuilt this year. So it could be reasonable to say, what if we try to do 5 or 6 concerts really, really well as we establish the volunteers and the whole thing, and that right there halves that money just for this year. And then that money opens up funds, not only just for this, but for other things that
I
you're
wouldn't
feeling
support,
tight on.
I wouldn't support
And-
going back at all in concerts in the park to do this stuff.
Can I just say one thing? The downtown beautification grant project.
Mhm.
So that is twofold. So not only does it help the downtown businesses, it also meets the requirements that the downtown designation is requiring of the EDDP and the planning commission. It hits both of those.
Yeah, and it
And
can, it can do it with
that's why-
1,000 as well as 2 though, couldn't it?
Well, not as well, no.
Not as well, but it would
No,
still
that
meet
would
your
get-
argument of meeting what they required. It does meet.
Lesser
I
the
just-
2 evils, how much could you get by with for this fiscal year? Lesser the 2 evils, I'm gonna be straight up honest, what do you think you can get by with, Laura?
I think part of what is frustrating is you have people who are trying to generate revenue for the town and trying to continue to add to the fiscal budget of the town. And, by going back and forth over these $1,000 when there is money sitting in there, like the concerts, for example. I'm not saying by any means get rid of the concerts, they're wonderful. But because you have a skeleton crew and a year of reestablishment, it's not unreasonable to say, well, maybe we just do a couple less to try to make sure we do it well. And then that frees up some money for these other things that we're real tight on. And
I'd rather
I
get in
had
trouble
ideas-
for not doing these beautification projects than taking concerts out, because the 10,000 doesn't even pay for the bands for the concerts that we do. It doesn't go for any frills or
That's why
anything.
I said to do less. It's not generating any economic for the town, whereas I had the idea, what if we do a few less, just a
I would-
couple less, and we add a thank you
We're gonna,
Thursdays?
I wanna bring, I wanna take back the discussion because we're going forever, and as I thought, about an hour later, we're still talking about this. I'm open,
what I
I'm open, no,
appreciate is
I thank you
a lot
very
of
much,
people
we're
sit in
good.
here and talk, and
Thank-
you only interrupt when you feel like it, and I was in the middle of a sentence, and I'd be happy to finish my sentence.
You're out of order, thank you very much. Now, I will entertain a motion, I'll entertain a motion for what you want. It sounds like you've got an amount in mind. Make a motion, see if you got a second, and see if you have enough votes to get it. Go right ahead, Sam. That's what you have.
I have a figure in mind, if anybody wants to hear.
Yeah, make a motion, make a motion.
I mean, I do this volunteer, I work full-time.
Please, we're trying to have a, we're trying to have a meeting here. We're trying to have a meeting here. If you can't be
So-
quiet, you can leave.
I just would like to say one thing.
You're disrespectful.
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna tell her, she's doing a great job, and I really appreciate what she does. I'm thinking, being what, I've heard everything here, let's do 7,000 in that budget instead of 5. Okay? Try it this year, see what happens. Hopefully they can And like you say, if things work out where they can reimburse that in certain programs, it's good for our tax base. It's good for people coming into town, spending some money.
We have a
It's
motion
not the full
to
eight,
put
but
7,000
that's correct.
on that line item. Do I have a second?
I have an alternate motion.
I don't have a second, so it doesn't go any further.
Okay.
What's your alternate motion?
I make a motion to put $6,000 in for EDDP.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
6,000 is going in for EDP. There was one other, and we will get off select board that we've been on for a while. There was one line item on 010-3000-10-1 secretarial services. We added in EDP, we drafted Claire to help us out, and she's doing a fantastic job of keeping the minutes for economic development and downtown partnership. I think that number might need to be a little bit higher because we added more clerical work. I know, don't be in shock. I'm the one pushing to save money and I want to spend a little bit here, but
That's for Claire.
They only meet once a month.
So that,
for an
is that
hour
good?
and a half.
Is that good? So the once a month is,
You know, you're at 50% now, you probably could use a couple $100.
so we take that 3,800 and make it $4,000
Well, I was
for the secretarial services line?
thinking 3,800 should. get
38?
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Just, it would be a flat fund at that point.
Does that make sense to the rest of the board? I'm just saying when they added some clerical
So-
support to help them out and. Okay? Take a pass at 38. Town manager. Any discussion on town manager, which is salary and dues and meetings? Joe, anything you want?
No, the guy's flat funded.
Okay. Moving on. We have 010-34-20-60 auditing department.
So your auditing department, the salary that you see for the $300, that's for our elected auditors. They often don't request those funds. And the professional services, that is the third-party auditor that comes in, that's RHR Smith. Excuse me, we did put that up to bid last year, I think it was, and we're currently in a 3-year contract. That number reflects the contract cost.
It's a pretty good increase when I looked at it, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know how to change it. So all good there? And unless you tell me, hold up, feel free to say, stop, I'm going too fast. On page 3, they added red line for secretarial services that, just want to make sure that Joe, put in red here. That is for the clerical support for the board, zoning board of adjustment. Mike, name it right. We all good? I just wanted to, you want a head nod?
I do.
Yeah, yeah, everyone's good with that? I'm just looking around going, everyone, you're good with that, Sam? Okay. Going to page 4, emergency management. And we have our emergency manager here, so, feel free to,
Did you flat fund that, Joe?
I did.
we flat funded that, and I just wanted to make
There's
sure.
2 line items there. One is for fuel for the generator at the grade school, and the other is for maintenance on same, which is the annual contract.
Okay, and then you're comfortable with, where we-
And until we consistently overspend it, yes.
very good. Everyone else here, we're good. Moving on to page 5, We're now at the fire department.
Okay,
Let you lead us into what,
all right, I have, what I did is I did a breakdown here, which I'll give you, showing where our numbers came from, our original numbers. And, because they're all pretty well itemized. So,
Thank you, Jim. If I can pass them down. Oh, perfect. Do you want me to pass them down?
yeah, sure. I don't know how many you got there, but.
Too many.
You should have probably too many. I'll
They'll come back
collect them
around
on the
the
other
same.
end.
when we get done passing the whole group, the big pile, take one and pass the big pile,
There you go, just like-
and he'll
just like
pick the
grade
rest
school.
of the pile.
Take one, pass the rest. You gotta
I gotta take
do
one.
that for yourself there, Rick.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay,
Jim, thank you for breaking that down.
Yeah, no
That's
problem.
nice.
The easiest way to go through it.
Hmm.
It actually is pretty detailed. Okay, starting with 010-4510, which is our firefighting
salary.
section. We based our salary numbers submitted on 100 runs a year, which is pretty much our average runs, plus or minus 20. Figured an average of 10 personnel. We do have an increase in wages first of this year, which will apply from July 1st next year through the end of December. And we estimated another 3% bump on top of that for the second 6 months of the year. We've started compensation for training. That's kind of a shot in the dark because we don't have any background data for it. So we estimated at 400 hours, which is probably low with the amount of manpower we have now. But that's what I came up with an estimate. And again, the 1464 is an average of the two minimum wage rates, and rounded that off to 20 grand. Came back with a submittal of 15, if that's what you're comfortable with. It's just, again, we don't have a lot of background data because we haven't done this as far as adding the training aspect to it. But
I see what you submitted and what's being proposed.
yeah,
If you,
And they do it.
strong feelings that you can't meet the 15, that we need?
I have no control over that. We had a 5-day forest fire in July. You know, this also doesn't, this is just a straight out, a single hour a call. Sometimes our manpower's down, sometimes it's up. Sometimes we go and operate for a couple hours and we have extra funding involved there. So this is kind of bare bones-ish on our end. Again, not having a lot of data on the training end of things. I will say this, in the past 6 months, we've probably picked up 6 members. I added 3 members tonight, which is it's a blessing, but it also means that's more people, more man hours, more training hours, more gear, more equipment, etc.
And that's why, and I guess,
So-
and my questions for Joe, you as well, that we came out with the 15 as a way of, was that looking at past and what we did and taking a mean, and now that we've added, because I see a lot of new faces.
Right.
Now that we've added a lot of new faces, is that something?
I'd say, unfortunately, that's kind of a decision for you people as far as what you're comfortable with budget-wise, because the bottom line is, somebody signs on the line, they're getting compensated for their time.
It depends if you want a short funded or not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. You're gonna pay it.
Yeah,
We're gonna pay it one way or
You're gonna have to figure it out.
right.
I see the 2 columns. Jim, I never saw yours. I put flat funded because there was zeros in your budget line. So I would,
See, that's why I don't
I would
want to-
defer to
so I
Jim
don't want
because
you to-
In
I
that
thought you
case-
flat funded
All
it.
right, because that explains some of your notes, because in that case, have a chat with Terry.
I was gonna wait till
Yeah.
after the meeting, but since
So-
it's come up.
So,
we'll-
again,
Yeah,
I don't,
no, I
and that's the
didn't touch your
reason
budget.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't be bashful about pushing back,
I
because we
will
guessed,
say, I will
we
say
guessed at
this,
the
I
15.
will say this, it came in later than originally designed,
Yeah,
because we were having an officers meeting the first Tuesday of October, and I didn't want to do this myself, I want my officers involved.
Yeah.
And I explained that to her, she said, I'm gonna put some placeholders in, if they didn't get changed out, they didn't get changed out, but you got the breakdown in front of you, so you can take it going forward.
yeah. So if I could add to what Jim said, the fire department's budgets are usually very, very tight, and they don't put fluff in their budget. So if Jim says he needs
That's what
I wouldn't doubt
I'm looking,
that
is
at all.
everyone comfortable with making that 20?
Yeah,
We're gonna change that 15 to 20.
Thank you. Makes sense in the long run.
yeah.
So I say there's a couple other things you're gonna
That's-
come out where, now that makes a lot more sense, Joe, because you'll see it when we get.
Yeah, I was looking at it, it's like, wait a minute,
Okay, moving
manager
on.
didn't
Okay,
change that.
well, this is what I got back on.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
you the
yeah,
other
yeah.
day, so, okay. Moving on the insurance line item, we submitted 3850, there was an issue on that I actually discussed with Terry. Let me get my scribble figures here, it actually shows up on yours too. The actual for fiscal '25 on that line item was showing up at $1,726.08. And I said, that can't be right, because our sickness and accident policy is I think it's 26, it may be 25, it's somewhere in there, it's more than the 1726. So there had been stuff that had come out of that I hadn't put in. And I checked in with Terry, and rightly so, the fire department share of the workman's comp has been pulled out of that line item. And said, well, that's fine, but if it's gonna be pulled out of there, we gotta put money in it.
Yeah.
So I put that in there. And what she also explained was that 1726 figure included the accident and sickness policy that we carry renews in June. So there's 1 month out of fiscal '25. And she's doing things right now, unlike the way they've been done previously. The other 11 months of that are put in the line for deferred payment because they're actually coming out of this fiscal year. So that gets transferred over after the fiscal year rolls over, and that washes. But that figure, the 3850, includes both the fire department share of the workman's comp and our accident and sickness policy. So that's the explanation there.
So should that be,
That should be 3850 there.
because the cost is the cost.
The cost is the cost,
Yeah,
right.
it's
3850?
And the sickness and accident policy is stable. If anything, sometimes it goes down a little bit, but it's generally pretty stable. And when it goes down a little bit, Scott Gaines gets a hold of us and says, you really should up this coverage because it's, and he's very good about that. In fact, he would like to come in at some point and discuss that going forward because it's been a while since it's been reviewed.
Yep, good.
Okay,
Are we,
anything else?
I have a let me get, so the 3850, chief, is that per fireman?
No, that covers our accident.
Covers
sickness
all of
policy,
you.
Right,
Okay.
and it also covers the department share of the town's workman's comp.
Okay, thank you.
The travel line was $100, that was level funded, that covers basically mileage. Chief officer, myself, usually, sometimes Chief Proctor, depending on manpower. We usually go to the scene, and if it's kicking around town, I don't bother with it, but if I'm driving distance, I get, that's mileage compensation there.
okay,
And that covers it, it's not a big deal. Medical, we're keeping that level funded, we've got money in the budget this year to start baseline physicals, something we're working with Pulteney Fire on, they've been doing it for a while. And again, that's something new, so we don't have a lot of history there, so we'll level fund that.
okay.
Okay, moving on, under training, 21, we threw in 500 there, that is basically props, hardware, things that, we're lucky that we have firefighter Eli Charlton and his girlfriend firefighter William Paquette, who are both career firefighters, and they have been doing a lot of Saturday trainings with people who can't make Tuesday nights. Eli does a lot of work building stuff. He's taken the wastewater plant and turned it into training scenarios, roof ventilation, hose advancement, and occasionally he'll need to, he goes over to the dump, scrounges what he can, but occasionally, you know, you need to buy
Cheap
some.
plywood or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what covers that.
So on that light item there, we see we had 300 because it was level from before.
Yeah.
With the
we've been
added
using a
people,
little bit more.
with the added people, that's why the
Right.
500,
Right.
500,
$200, I mean.
the 500, let's go, Joe, you don't have an issue with the 500?
No, Jim's budgets are always very tight.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's Donnie P's money too.
And thank you guys for what you do, I appreciate it, thank
Yep.
you.
Absolutely, we do our best.
okay,
Okay.
education supplies,
Yeah, okay, so educational supplies, public fire education, which is something that, there's been some, we used to spend a lot of money on schools, educational supplies with the schools. There's been some change in personnel at the school level, they do things a little differently. What we've been doing now is doing some recruitment and retention in public events. We have an administrative assistant now, B. Laramie, who does our paperwork for us. She's been wonderful. And one of the things she'll do is set up a booth at Apple Fest, set up a booth at Spring Fling. And we've actually recruited a few members.
That's
from
awesome.
Just the interaction. One of the things that we did, we just bought a banner to put in front of the table. But again, we've got plastic helmets for the kids and brochures and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So we kind of changed the tack a little bit to kind of make it a little more general. But again, it's a case of we're doing, you know, we used to spend like $1,000 on just stuff for the kids. Now we're kind of focusing a little bit more generally on the public and using it as a recruitment and retention tool in addition to an education tool.
how does the board feel about 700 this year? 700,
Okay with that.
700's good, let's change it. Okay,
Okay, dues and meetings, this is basically where all of our training-related expenses come out of. We have our Rutland County and Washington County dues, which are about two and a quarter. We're budgeting for 8 classes in regional schools at $150 a class. That would be 8 students for a single day or 2-day class. 6 people at a seminar. We do Burlington seminars quite a bit. Burlington Fire does a nice winter presentation. We bring some heavy hitters in. Our Vermont State Fire Association memberships in there. We budget for 1 student for firefighter 1, because firefighter 1 is a 200-hour program. And this year, we're fortunate, they're doing a class in Castleton. We have 1 member who is taking it. Matt Decker is taking firefighter 1 and 2 in Castleton. So there's money there to cover that.
Does the 1,200 cover tuition, or is that to
No, it's
compensate the officer?
basically mileage and time.
It's about a 200-hour course.
Yeah.
By the time they get done with their full certificate.
Is it a 40-hour week course that
No,
you just carry?
no,
Couple hours a
he does
week,
a couple-
Couple hours?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so
like
it
Monday
adds
night,
up then, it's a
Saturday,
long
Sunday
time.
afternoons,
Fire
right.
Academy, till
Oh,
that's 50
wow,
miles round
okay.
trip.
They start in September and they won't finish until probably April or May.
Wow,
They go.
okay.
But the problem is, and I say this all the time, that firefighter certification in the state of Vermont, the program is designed by and for career firefighters. It's very hard for on-call people to make that kind of a commitment because it's travel. We have one in Castleton, we won't have one, we'll be lucky, the next one will probably be 2 years from now in Pittsburgh. It's very rare to have one that close. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of people that could do it because again, it's in the line. But if you get young bucks to do it once, then their 24 hours of training a year will keep their certification up. And, you know, it's especially for interior people, it's the gold standard. We've got, the last 2 years, we've sent 2 members to New York State, out in western New York, to Rescue Jack School, which is a stabilization strut that we carry, and they do a weekend program where Chief Proctor has been, they put some crazy scenarios as far as car wrecks and can show you things you can do with that. Besides just stabilizing a vehicle, you can lift, you can move, you can do a lot of different things with that. And we've been lucky to we've got 4 members so far that have been through that program.
It's like a train the trainer.
Yeah, and then they'll come back and then train the rest of us. And then we've also, the last couple of years, we've had 2 or 3 people attending the New England Fools Conference in Maine, which is the Fraternal Order of Leatherheads. They're a firefighting organization that brings in, again, heavy hitters, people that are well-known in the industry.
National.
The kind of stuff, we used to go to Baltimore, Fire Expo was in Baltimore. And the seminars you sit through there, you're talking about some of the biggest names in the country that know what they're doing because they do it every day. And you learn more from them than you do somebody who's, proud of, those more shirts. So that's the breakdown on the training.
Okay, communications?
On communications, repair and maintenance supplies, this is basically, every year we buy a set of batteries for all our portables. And so we have 12 2180 portables, which are tactical portables in the apparatus, and our line officers also carry them. 6 pager batteries. We're kind of, well, you see down the road, when we get to equipment, we're kind of moving away from pager technology because this is your pager. There's apps that we use. There's an app called I Am Responding that is part of our dispatch through Washington County. And that basically becomes a pager as long as you got cell phone or Wi-Fi service. So we still have people that do have to carry them because of where they are. But the expense of a pager is now more than the expense of a portable. So we're moving towards buying portables to get more radios on the fire ground and start with strategic people and have them carry portable radios because it's just more bang for the buck. So that's the way we're going there. We got 3, the chief officers are carrying 2312 Kenwoods now, so there's 3 batteries for those 3 radios. And budgeting for 3 speaker mics because these things get beat on and get busted up pretty good.
Okay,
That's the repair and maintenance supplies.
we're good with changing that to the 2000.
Now the communication line, this is one I looked at and scratched my head, Joe, and now.
We went down.
You didn't see it.
We went down.
Because again, there was a question on the expenditure line when I went through this. We were showing $111.17 spent on phone charges in fiscal '25, and that can't be. So went and talked to Terry again, and she went through what we actually have, which is 3 data lines. We have an iPad in each truck that carries our mapping, has our I Am Responding on it. And we can also hotspot with them if we have to. So there's 3 data lines. There's a house landline for our house phone in the firehouse. And there's the old emergency line, which is now a rollover line into Washington County. And she totaled everything up and she said $1,000 a year will cover your phone charges. So that's what we put in there.
Good. We actually went back 1,000, we saved 1,000.
And you're
I can live with that, I can live with
We
that.
don't want to spend money unnecessarily.
and you're okay with that. That's-
If she's okay with it, she knows the ins and outs of stuff like that because it gets very complicated. You find out that, oh, who's paying for that? Well, they're paying for that, okay. When it comes to phone lines and communication stuff, there's a lot of different companies. Who's the company this week? We're going through that in the town garage trying to get a phone up there, so, But anywho, moving along, dispatching services, we have a 5-year agreement with Washington County. 26 is the last year of the 5-year agreement, so that we'll have a renewal coming up on that. The last 5-year agreement was a $300 a year increase. And it could be $3,000, it's worth it compared to the alternative.
It also covers the I Am Responding.
Yep.
They cover that app cost that we don't have to pay for separately.
They got a
Some of the
grant.
Washington, New York State, or Vermont State
Yeah.
police-driven dispatch like Castle have to pay for that out of pocket at $500 to $1,000.
They got a grant to try it out, and they love it. So, The first 6 months of that would be under the one rate, and then there would be another 150, half of the 300 for the 6 months for the second year on that. So 5950 would be the actual
Yep.
dispatch charge.
So we're gonna change it to 5950, okay?
Repair and maintenance, so we level funded that. That's, any radio repairs or anything we need done, like if they, all of a sudden the fire whistle blows for 10 minutes straight, which it did, and we got that taken care of, that's where that would come out of. Radio techs are billing out now like $115 an hour, but we were fortunate, one of the members that we just put on tonight, Zach Reed, who was a former member, is back again, works for Adirondack Two-Way, so he's our radio tech, and he lives down there on Maple Street, so it's pretty handy. The 76 utilities, that's fire siren electricity, and say that's been running, fiscal 24 was 565, fiscal 25 was 677, so we figured 750 would cover it, where 400 wouldn't.
Okay,
So that's an actual. And then 83, so we budgeted for 3 portables, $500 a piece. And, or as I say, pagers are now about the same price and a lot less capability, obviously. We also are budgeting $3,750 to replace the base antenna on our radio. It's a fiberglass antenna and it's delaminating, and recommended that that get changed out. I got a quote from Adirondack on doing it, and so that's the quote on that.
okay, that's a pretty good,
That's a big jump.
that's
Yeah,
a,
and
that's a
that's-
pretty good increase. Is it, I always like to ask the question, is there any money anywhere else to pay for some of that, or we all need, like in a fire equipment reserve, or?
I guess you got 1,000 back on that other.
Good answer.
Yeah, okay, you're giving, okay, you're right, so that gets me to that, gets me in.
You'll see
one-
this one year on that 3750, that's a one shot.
Right, that's a one.
So I expect to see that drop next,
Right,
okay,
that antenna is probably 1990s vintage, so it doesn't owe us anything.
okay.
Biggest thing, there's a cost, they have to bring a man lift in
Yeah.
to do it because of where it is and
Yeah.
whatnot, there's probably 1,000 of cost to them. for
Yeah, they
that.
got-
So you wanna go from 2,000 to 5,250? Is that, you wanna go from 2,000 to 5,250? Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah. Yeah, 2,000 was projected, 5,250
Yeah.
was what you're going
Yeah,
to.
it's
based
30
on 3750.
3750 was a quote from Adirondack on that.
That's machinery and equipment.
Yeah, I gotta get on the right page, page 6, yeah. Right, on the machinery and equipment. Yeah,
Machinery and equipment.
I'm looking at 83, just trying to find.
83.
Okay, we're talking about line item 010 4580 83.0.
We're talking about, now we're talking. well,
83, machinery and equipment 83.0.
You're talking about the radio antenna is on 4540 83.
4540,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
That's why I was drawing a,
Yep.
it just didn't look,
What? Looks like 45, 40, 83, okay.
yep.
I went too far.
I did.
Right, what?
I will in a minute.
It's on page 5.
Under fire department communications, under that one.
That's where.
4580, 4540, got it. I just wanted to make it 5,250.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, for 4580, which is our fire equipment category. 10 is salary for town wages, covers administrative work and town repair work. We're level funding that at 500. Fuel, we're leveling out at $750. 22, repair and maintenance supplies, just looking at past expenditures on that, that's way under budgeted. And basically that covers mostly stuff from like Abishon, Fairhaven, auto, that sort of material. So we're upping that to 1,000. The last, let's say 24, we spent 1,200, almost 1,300. Spent $2,000 this year, so again, more stuff being done in-house, so it's not costing you a lot of money there. But you do need parts and stuff to work from.
Like the other day, we had the increase to our engine rescue. If you look at it, since our little bit of work with we have a couple of actual true mechanics on our crew that are capable truck ASC certified mechanics. That saved you going somewhere for $200 to $500 just to put antifreeze into something. So, major medical, we're not touching it just for liability, but something simple like that, we would handle in-house.
In fact, there's one of the members we put on tonight. Day help, we like it. Okay, 23 small tools and equipment, broken down as 6 hoods at $135 a piece. Fire stuff is not cheap. 6 pair of gloves at $125 a pair.
Wow.
3 Streamlight personal lights at $150. So that gives you 2010. Extinguisher maintenance is another one where you put, we put in $1.50. It showed up as 2. And I'm not sure actually that has, looking at the figures on that, I guess maybe we did do a little last year. That's not getting done, I don't believe, on a regular basis when we're doing the stuff in-house, like in the municipal building.
Because the muni building only handles the things that are like attached to the walls.
Right.
They won't catch a couple of the,
Yeah.
they have caught a couple of the ones sitting out there, but.
There is a local outfit that's actually some ex-firefighters or some moonlighting firefighters that's out of Rutland County that may be more apt to do that, because the problem with the outfit we got doing fire extinguishers, they started out as a good company, and like so many these days, they went corporate. And now they're a number, they don't even answer calls, all a machine. And, and that's why there's some guys that are trying to bring back the local friendly dealer and, look into that.
So are you saying the 150
I'd
is
hold-
good, or?
Yeah, I'd hold it, and, again, if, as things go along, but I question whether that stuff is being, I don't think it's being caught up by the system we've got now.
So like trucks, like of course, they may have 1 or 2 on them depending, you space, it's not, let's not do them all 1 year, let's, 1 or 2 year, try to keep that cost down so they get whacked all at once,
Yeah, I mean, they gotta put a tag on them.
Right.
You're supposed to put a tag on them annually, it's like $25 to put a tag on.
Right, so we figure that out,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
But that's something that needs to be a little bit of exploration there. Okay, under air packs, this is a place where we've got a little bit of things going on. $750 for annual service on a Cascade and certification on the air. 13 flow tests at $100. We got 13 packs every year. They get flow tested. Budget for 2 face pieces of voice meters at $450. Interior firefighters are fit tested to a specific size mask. So when you get a new guy or the face changes or whatever, sometimes you have to buy upsize or downsize their mask, because they've got to use the mask that they're fitted for. That's a VOSHA thing and an NFPA thing. And then miscellaneous straps, latches, batteries for the pass alarms, the stuff that breaks. One thing on that, if you look historically, that has gone up and down like a yo-yo. So there was actually 8,000 that started out in the budget this year. And that's money that probably, most of that isn't gonna be spent. Our SCBA cylinders are fiberglass composite, and they have a 15-year lifespan. You hydro test them every 5 years, and after the 3rd hydro test, you throw them away. And depending on how many cylinders were coming up for replacement every year, they're $1,000 a piece. So if I got 5 cylinders replaced, there's $5,000. If I only have 2 the next year, I'm saving money. Well, we've been trying for years to, every time we get a chance to submit a Fire Act grant, an AFG grant, we're trying to replace our air packs, because our air packs are about 5 generations too old. The company that services them has told us they're having trouble getting parts for them. A new air pack now is about $13,000 a piece.
Holy cow.
And we've got 13 of them, and each one requires a spare cylinder. So obviously, we've been banging grants left, right, and sideways. Well, now the whole federal grant program is a shambles.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple other things we're trying to work around the periphery, at least upgrading our compressor and our, things like that, because the new packs now are, the ones we have now are 2,200 PSI air pressure in the tanks. New ones are 4,500. Tanks are a little bit smaller, but they're compatible with everybody around us. There's not too many people still running 2,200. But that's, you know, a project that's crying for funding, and we're, you know, beating every bush we can find. But in the meantime, again, another reason to not try to invest too much money into old technology as far as buying bottles that, you know, if we get a grant, all of a sudden they're all useless. We were able to, Chief Proctor, the old Harry in him, found a deal on some secondhand bottles that still had 7 or 8 years left on them, but at a fraction of their price. So we scooped on that. We also had our Cascade bottles on our air refill system. We had them hydro tested a few years back, and all but 2 of them failed. So we'd gone from a 4-bottle system to a 2. Well, lo and behold, if Captain Charlton didn't run across some secondhand Cascade bottles. So we just picked up 2 of those, cost us $800, but we're back to a 4-bottle Cascade again. So, you know, these are the kind of things that we're trying to do to save money where we can.
Good.
But,
So the 3,300 is
yeah,
is good.
3,300 to cover that, right.
Okay.
Repair and maintenance, that's apparatus repairs and maintenance, annual pump service, annual truck service, and anything that happens to pop up. So that's level funded at 9,000. Registration inspections, 3 trucks, 3 inspections at $85.
$255. It is what it is. Right?
And then under new equipment, 3 helmets at $450, 6 pair of boots at $600 a pair, leather boots. 3 lengths of 5-inch and 4 lengths of 1 3/4 hose. Again, we didn't manage, well, somehow we managed to miss it this summer, but last summer, for the first time ever, we did hose testing. And when ISO shows up to do they did this summer to review your insurance rating, well, they like that, and they especially like to see it every year. So we're trying to do it every year. We just missed connections with the company that comes up and do it. They go up to high school, take your truck up, they pull all the hose off, they test it, they load it back up for you. You don't have to do a damn thing, just show up with a driver. Well, we lost 400 feet of 5-inch hose. Where some of that hose goes back to the 1990s that we're running, and I would much rather lose it on a hose test than lose it on a fire. We ended up with upgrading our hose spec to something much more modern, much better, with a local assistant chief from Pulteney Fire, who's a rep for the company that handles it, and packs better, loads better, much better stuff.
Safer connections.
Yeah, connections are positive locking. The attack lines have arrows on them to show you which way to get out of the building. Don't really just cast right into them. There's a lot of good little features that make all the difference. So that's in there. $250 for AED pads, or the pads on our AED, or the AED we carry have expiration dates. We work with Rescue, we carry the same model that they carry. So they get us our pads, and a couple $100 for miscellaneous stuff rounds off to 10 grand. fire police, I put that in at 500. We have, and you've probably seen him around, we have a new fire police member, Bill Morse. He's got a very tricked out vehicle that you aren't gonna miss. But our fire police have been getting older, less active, and we've noticed it. I mean, and having that spark, we've got a couple other people on the nibbling that we're trying to get in there, because, you know, but, I mean, John's John, but John can't do everything himself. So, it's good to have those guys, well, just to.
I do have a question. What's the difference between a fire police versus yourselves as
Fire
fire?
police are a subset of our department, or it's a category membership, and what they do is traffic control.
Right.
They will shut down the road, they will redirect traffic, and they keep our fire scenes free of spectators, and keep them safe, basically.
It's
Gotcha.
especially a real nice way for maybe somebody that doesn't have the time, maybe some physical liabilities that maybe they're not ready, or that's a way in, like Bill probably wants to eventually start doing some fire truck stuff, and maybe we'll work towards that with him as well, but give somebody a source, like, you know, the classic saying, you know, one of our former guys, there's a job for everybody.
Yep.
But if I don't have to stand in the middle of the road, and I can work with people here, or direct the people under me as an assistant chief, you know, we had the accident up here the other night, very simple accident, but it required a fire truck, myself in the road, another guy on the side. We had Bill up there, chief was floating around a little bit. Well, there's 4 people tied up. Well, if I had to render care or cut a car apart, you know, traffic scenes are extremely dangerous, especially if we get up on Route 4.
Yeah.
We get off that highway as quickly as we can.
That's the
because,
most dangerous thing we
you
do
know,
is operate on that.
That just scares us, and we're working as just a side note on some issues we're having, just to put in the back of your head, separate to that, of 22A in the state of Vermont AOT. Nothing to do with a local group, but they used to have, if it was over 2 hours, they bring a sign package off, get my guys off the road. Now their powers above them, not the local guys. They have great people to work with. They won't even come out from the state police.
No.
So we get a lot of 22A tractor trailer flip overs. It's all right during the day, my guys will give up a couple hours. You know, you start getting into 5-6 hour operations for just being a convenience.
Yep.
For somebody being a little just, you know, set out and put extra traffic there. Well, I can't do that. We had our guys up, Whitehall had an incident. They were gonna block out, they never came out. We had people up on Route 4 at the end, exit 1. Chief Heller had to go out of town. I had to go work rescue. I called the LHR, who was kind of running the operation, some other guys. Like, are you guys still up there? Yeah, I said, get off the road.
Yeah.
I don't care, get off the road. I'm not getting somebody killed up there for that. You know, it doesn't make sense for the convenience of the general public. As much as we love helping people, but there's a limit. We're asking people to give up their time, and it's a liability. If you're gonna get somebody killed, it's gonna be in an accident scene or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's just a little side.
It's-
We'll get you on our podium with you guys later on that about another time. but
it's
We're working with some other departments to maybe put a little pressure on it from the state level.
So anything else, budget time, anything else? We've gone through the line items.
The only other thing I've got is, if you get on your next line item, we got forest fire warden, which I see you zeroed out. We just spent that budget tonight. Our forest fire warden is a little behind the 8 ball sometimes when it comes to that sort of thing. There is a grant program, and the idea of that money is the state has a grant program that comes out in the fall, that they just changed it, but it's a 50-50 match. So whatever you put in there, you can get on that program. You can buy wildland fire equipment at half price. Used to be, they had a list, and you had to buy from off their list. They just changed it this year. Of course, we find out about this about a week before they close the thing out. But you can buy anything, but now you gotta put the money up front, and they will kick the other half back to you. Before, you would pay half, and they would, off their list, and that's what you get. So anything that we have in there, say it was $500 this year, Captain Charlton just found us a deal. We run Milwaukee batteries on our tools on the apparatus. We run DeWalt in the firehouse. So if somebody can't grab a battery off the truck, because, well, no, they're not gonna work, you know, keep the truck on the truck on the truck. But we've been talking about, actually under the grant program, one of the things we were discussing was a leaf blower, which people are, they're not carrying for wildlife fires to cut line. And he found a deal. You buy 2 Milwaukee batteries for $199, and you get the leaf blower for free.
Solve your problem.
So not only did he do that, but they also have battery-powered portable lights. You buy 2 more batteries, you get the light for free. So for $400, we've got 4 batteries and 2 pieces of equipment. Again, that's the kind of things that we look to do.
So are
And
you
that come out of
saying
the and you were saying that come out of,
force,
That'll come out of
Forest
firewood,
for-
yeah, because of the leaf blower, because that's
So-
wildland.
so we should put the 500 back in there.
I'd leave it in, yeah, and to say that's the idea. Again, we've been, we kind of have to pick the slack up on that because it's, you know, we end up carrying all the equipment anyway. But we bought, in the past, we run a 1-inch forestry hose, which is the greatest thing you ever come up with for wildland fires. And you could pick up, you know, let's say a length of hose at half price. We've also bought wildland gear, which we never had before. And under the grant program, we started out with a half a dozen shirts and a half a dozen helmets and then worked it through that. Which brings me to the other point, which I think I stuck on the end here.
breakout gear?
This is something that we need to discuss. Different boards over the years look at things different ways. But as I said, we just put on in the last 6 months, 6 members. We now have 9 certified interior members, which is the most interior people we've had in quite a while. Per NFPA, interior firefighters have to be wearing compliant turnout gear that is no more than 10 years old. And gear right now is $4,000 a set. Now, some boards in the past have funded that purchase through operational budgets. Some boards have funded it through reserve accounts. And, you know, that's kind of, but the, you know, we'd be looking for 3 sets of gear down the road here at some point, you know, within the next year or so.
Within the next year?
Yeah,
So it's
so-
more of a heads up,
Well,
this
it-
expense is coming, you're not
Basically,
asking.
it's something's gotta be budgeted for, something, money's gotta come from somewhere.
Do we,
But, yeah,
do we have 12,000 in our reserve after buying a truck? And
this is where I'm worrying, a little concerned, because reserves
we do.
aren't keeping up, and it's not just apparatus that you can go out and borrow money for.
That shovel will be every
Yeah.
year, because if you take a 3-year, you know, at least every other year at max, you know, that you're rotating, because what happened is years ago, after 9/11, there's a lot of, I don't call it free money, but let's say, grant money
Yeah.
run it very deep.
Yeah,
And all new sets of gears and all that,
we
well,
bought 2 rounds of gear on grant money.
and then
after 9/11.
every department ran into this. We all
Absolutely.
kind of woke up and like, oh no, our gear's coming out of compliance. Now, can you cheat a little bit? Yeah, but go back to the physicals, go back to whatever other testing and stuff we do. The liability to the town,
Need to be
exonerates, there's nothing to do necessarily with this subject, but there was a ill-run scene recently that a single firefighter died. They had pushed it back to some things, you know, everybody's gonna get tagged, $31.5 million to the widow.
Yeah. that was the one.
Now, granted, I mean, you know, it just,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we provide a very, I'd say frugal system, I won't say cheap, because it sucks to cost what it costs. But you're getting a paid fire level department without having, you know, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in salary, you know, for crews and stuff. But you want us to keep all those lockers filled, people like a little perk once in a while. Isn't it bad? It's not saying that, but they feel appreciated. We try to do that stuff, and you gotta have good safe gear if I'm gonna,
Well, we
you
went
know,
to
have your
the,
family come in, you know, I want you to be safe, and they believe in us in doing that, and that's our responsibility to provide that.
every, last 2 years, we've been doing a day at the burn building at the fire academy in Pittsburgh with Fulton. And had a tremendous, they had like 8 or 9 evolutions. Everybody got a lot of work in. People got their butts kicked. I mean, they really worked. Before you go into that burn building, before we even set foot on the place, Tommy Fusil, my assistant chief, who's a state instructor, he goes through everybody that's doing interior firefighting, goes through their gear and checks the dates, make sure everything's in compliance. We had one member that we had to switch helmets because the helmet was out of compliance. We had another member who ended up wearing a compliant set of gear from West Haven for the day, because in order to go into the burn building, because that's how strict they are with it. Because again, everything is copacetic until something goes bad. Then everybody wants to know why.
So do we,
So-
the question is in the next year, do we have $12,000 for 3 sets of turnout gear? The answer is no.
No, I say we gotta put it in there.
Safety's the biggest thing.
There
You gotta
isn't,
keep these
is there a
guys
line
safe.
item for turnout gear?
There's a reserve when we get to the.
When we do the reserve
account, you'll be able
discussion-
to dump
I
some
would,
money in.
right.
I think then we- that's where-
Capital stuff is something that's got over so long of a life, and this is, again, it's a, 5-year, it's like, almost like buying a truck, they're gonna get 5, 10 years out of it.
When somebody comes on the department, i.e. the 3 people we added tonight, we've kept all our old gear. Now, sometimes stuff gets past its whatever, not so much date, but say you're gonna be an exterior firefighter, well, you don't have to have the newest stuff. And we have some stuff that's very great shape, we put them into that, but it's almost a good problem to have when you go in there and every locker's full. I'm running out of extra stuff to, you can't come on our fire company unless you have certain, at least a helmet and, pants and steer. We can start them about that, but if they go in here, then we need that. That's where sometimes these other 3 sets of gears lead us to even exterior people, because I can, Chad's riding with us and, hey, you got your new set of gear, hey, that'll fit Jimmy over here, let's get you over to that. And we try to be frugal, we understand, we all pay taxes.
Do you have enough turnout gear for the new members?
We got members to start them out.
We get them started, and then we work with other departments, so like.
The issue becomes when we have our own, because as I said earlier, the firefighter 1 program is so geared toward career people, it's very difficult to get everyone through it. We love getting people through it, but if we had to depend on that for interior firefighters, we wouldn't have as many as we do. We're fortunate that we have both Chief Fusil, who is a state instructor, works for the academy, and Chief Proctor is also a certified instructor. We can teach modules of that firefighter 1 and do an in-house thing. So what we do, we require the personal protective equipment module, that they go through that in-house. The SCBA module, donning, doffing, safety procedures, how the air pack works, what to do when you have an emergency, that sort of thing. We do that in-house. And what we try to do somewhere along the line, the state has, the fire academy has a dragger trailer, which is an indoor confidence course. And we'll run them through that. Or what we did with a couple guys that we just certified, when we went to the burn building and did the live burn. That was their final exam, basically. And they went through that to the satisfaction of the instructors. We were signed off, and they're now having a red front piece on their helmet. If they see a black front piece on their helmet, they're a support firefighter. The red front piece denotes an interior firefighter.
Good. Any other questions for, before that new truck well on its way?
Hope so, yeah.
Both of them.
I keep looking to see where that new.
Utilities being worked on, the one we bought as we're gonna start calling the utility versus brush truck. We did get the back tank pump assembly mounted. They're doing some of the under boxes, tires are updated. Didn't need much anything mechanical, I already had the inspection, it's just more or less the interior down Todd's. We're on the home stretch, it's just, like anything, these truck garages and the people we're working with do as much as we can, if someone needs to be outsourced in. The town of Fairhaven's truck's down, or you can work on our truck, well, we're gonna tell them to fix the town of Fairhaven's truck first, obviously. So we're getting there, we're not destitute, but.
Between Avalanche Truck Services and TW Ferguson, they're doing the fabrication, the mounting stuff. And once they're complete, then the only thing we'll have to do, other than graphics, which we're already having in the works, is to get Adirondack to switch the lighting system over and the radios over.
Yep.
So that's the last major thing that needs to be done.
Well, thanks for coming in, gentlemen.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for serving the community, guys.
Appreciate it.
Page 7, transfer station, moving along. Looking for, do we have anyone who's gonna talk to you, or are you gonna talk
No,
it?
I'm your guy.
You're my guy. Go get him then.
So you'll see the transfer station does, it does show an overall percent increase of 14.5. And two things are driving that. The first thing obviously is the Casella contract that we just signed 4 months ago, 5 months ago, where we saw just exorbitant increases across the board for household waste, transportation. We don't make any money on recycling anymore. Demo is up, so our cost of demo is up. So that's one thing that's driving this. Although you will see some reductions on certain lines, that's just because we're going by average with maybe a small bump in that average. The thing I think that sticks out the most to anybody that looks at this budget is this transfer station salary line. That is up.
$30,000.
Yeah, that is up a lot, and that reflects the union contract. We're currently sitting at 68% of that salary line expended this year. By the time we get to the end of the year, I expect to be at or about $100,000. And that's not any new staff. We didn't add somebody new for the swap shop like I've heard stated. No, this is just our
He's being
staff.
nice when I asked him, I said, what the heck, we hire somebody I'm not aware of?
Yeah, no, we totally didn't.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, this is just the cost of doing business right now. We got this big pay, again, it's two years of pay increases that kind of got stuck in the pipe at this point. Next year won't be so bad, but this year is definitely a challenge.
I was just gonna ask, so do you see any of this dropping off next year?
Waste won't drop off.
No?
When I look at transfer station, I think I had a conversation about relooking at how we do that. Do we really need Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? Is it 2 days versus 3? Is it increasing the punch ticket, there's a larger discussion outside of here. I think the board needs to.
I think there's a lot of discussion over this transfer station that it should be done, and actually it should be done right now.
Okay.
Okay. One of the big things is we have 2 guys that basically are designated to the transfer station, but if they're off, we bring in the other crew from DPW. That does 2 things for us. Sometimes that creates overtime for them fellows, which adds to this
Overtime.
that we shouldn't be doing. And it also takes away from DPW, which we shouldn't be doing. If we had part-time people that could be called in on a call-in basis.
Per diem? Yep,
Per hour, but part-time.
Yep. So.
No benefits, just.
So, they're basically minimum wage folks to punch a ticket. I mean, I would think that would save quite a lot of money. It's also my understanding that the stuff we charge for, like mattresses, we get $10 or $20. It costs us $40 to get rid of it or $30 to get rid of it. I don't know the exacts right now, but I know it costs us more to get rid of it than we're taking in from the customer when they bring it in. That's across the board. It really needs to be looked at very, very seriously.
So mattresses, we are charging $30, and each mattress is $30 we pay for it. But we also have to handle the mattress, and we have to ship the mattress. So we do lose money on that.
And didn't that just go up to $30? Because it was 20.
No, it went up to 30, and the increase is up to 30.
Can we
Town
just
is
burn
now
'em?
charging 30.
What's that?
Can we just put them into a brush pile and burn them or no?
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
I'd be
Yeah.
worried about
Yeah,
that.
no, we don't do that.
There's a lot of things we can't do anymore. And that's what drives the price of everything so high.
I don't imagine, our union contract would allow for the addition of part-time folks for this, or?
Yeah, this is actually something Nate and Mr. Greeno had come up with. They got together and we're thinking about ways to reduce this cost. And we do have the two gentlemen that work at the cemetery. And talking with Terry, as long as they stay under a certain number of hours every year, they're still considered part-time. So we're actually using them to fill the gaps now and hopefully bring that cost down.
But when I look at the line items, I hear what you're saying, but when we're filling in for someone, is that done by overtime? Or is it true, is it in the salary?
It would be salary.
It would be
There
salary,
is
okay.
overtime that's generated.
Cause I look at the two and I'm
Yeah,
going,
if you, yeah, there's definitely overtime involved there. I mean, when you stop and think about it, if you work a guy 5 days a week and then all of a sudden, oops, we gotta have a replacement for Saturday, well, we need a guy there, well, he's on overtime.
And that goes a lot to being short-staffed for the last, 6 months?
it's, yeah.
It's been tough.
If the longer term goal, go ahead.
I think we're into the season or year or time of the year where we can't afford to pull the DPW guys because we're gonna need them. If there's a snowstorm in the middle of the day on Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, we need them taking care of our roads, not down there punching tickets.
A discussion, I think that needs, not tonight, but needs to be had going forward. When you have, we always need help in DPW. It's not just when we take people from DPW to fill in when people are out for vacation or sick. It's, wouldn't it be nice to have, we have DPW people down running the transfer station. Why don't we have part-time people running the transfer station? Without hiring another head, I put people back in DPW working where I don't have people in DPW today. I'm just saying the job that it seems like would be the toughest, I could be wrong, tougher to fill someone to work in DPW with their CDLs and everything else they need than it is to get someone to work in transfer station down there, I would think.
It's kind of what I'm thinking also.
And that would put some manpower where you, again, not gonna solve it here, but it's a discussion that I think is worth having
Yeah.
about the utilization of the resources, yeah.
Yeah, and the transfer station's been, it's kind of been stuck in our craw for the last 4 or 5 years. We can do better down there. We can save money. It's just a matter of getting at it.
And, you would almost think it should make us a little money, but I don't know.
Recycling will never make money again. It's not like it used to be back in the 90s.
There's people that make fortunes on recycling, fortunes,
Yeah.
yeah, tons of them.
But again, it's, I think it'll take a lot more time than we have tonight to talk about not only manpower down there, but there's different things like when's the last time, I know as much as I hate to spend money, when's the last time our punch tickets went up? And
Yeah, we haven't changed them since I've been here,
And-
and it's been 8
And if you talk, I would wanna, before I just did that, I would wanna go out and say, so if I have X amount of garbage and I went to the Castleton transfer station, what's it cost me? If I went to the Fairhaven transfer station, what's it cost me? If I went to Rutland, what's it cost me? To say, did we keep up with when everyone else was doing increases? I wouldn't be shocked to find out that
Negative.
that we're one of the lower.
I think the other conversation we need to have in the upcoming year is whether or not we can afford to operate our own transfer station, right? Would it be cheaper to outsource trash and recycling to Casella for all the residents? And if you have larger items, then you can go to Castleton or wherever. You know, at what point is it cost effective to outsource those things?
No, it's not cost effective at this price, I can tell you that for sure.
This is-
Honestly, I don't even use our town transfer station. I have Martell's come pick mine up every Thursday at $88 a month. They take anything and everything. If I can put it in the bin, I have 2 bins, they take it.
There's a lot of people that have
I mean, it's
trash.
only common sense. I mean, I think. I mean, nothing to get. It's expensive to go up here.
But again, before sometimes, we look at, I'll be the first one, I don't wanna cut my nose off to spite my face
No, I just,
on this one here, because when I looked at the two items that really, it's the salary and the overtime. And I'm going, okay, first of all, before I'm ready to do some major overhaul and changing, here, is it how I staff it and what I pay for staffing it?
Well, see, this is the thing, $88 a month, he don't have to do a thing.
nope, just push it to the curb.
Me, I go to the dump a couple times,
I go,
I go average
week.
once a week. So it cost me $7 a year for the little sticker that's in my windshield, and it cost me $20 for 20 punches on a punch card.
Yep.
It's a little bit of my time. I go up there, I drive across the scale, I throw the bag in, they punch the card, 1, 2, 3, whatever it takes, and out the door I go. It cost me not even close to
a
$88.
fraction of what you're paying,
It probably don't
$88.
cost me $88 in a year.
All about size of household, though,
So,
right?
so
'Cause
see what
I
I'm
have
trying
5
to say?
people in my
Keith's got
house.
We're really
five
being
people over my
shortchanged.
He's paying for the convenience, is what he's doing. He's paying for the convenience and not having to take his own
And
trip.
I don't have to separate nothing, I just
I
put it
I have people
in.
in my house also, and it might cost me $40 a month to take my trash down there.
I wanna channel my inner Bob Richards for a second, because whenever you have this conversation, Bob would say, we keep it low, like for mattresses and things, because we don't wanna see them on the side of the road.
That's,
We want people to go to the transfer station. We don't wanna see garbage on the side of the road. We don't wanna see mattresses. So we keep the price so that people, for the most part, will take them and have them disposed of
But
properly.
can the taxpayers afford to compensate this?
And,
This is what my
Oh,
question.
and my big thing is, I'm not around during the times on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays. My family, we got things to do, you know?
But coming back, as to this, the last one, next to the last one, we wanna work our way through. We have, special events after that, and we're done. But when I look, what I hear from you is the salary and the overtime. There isn't, it is, the cost of what we're spending, it is what it is right now.
you know what, I was just doing kind of back of the napkin, numbers on that overtime, and I don't think it would be a bad thing. I think you could probably flat fund overtime with coming up to full staff now. I mean, we shouldn't necessarily have to, even the last couple pay periods, I haven't seen the overtime that.
So what would that go down to then?
4,000 that we did before. Take 1,000 out of the overtime,
1,500,
or 1,500.
yeah. I don't think that's gonna kill us.
So that'd be negative 1,500, not at,
Right.
Gonna be
And
a
we just
4,000 total.
gonna, what I didn't know on the 100,000 that we were talking, if we got together, talked after the first of the year, and you implemented something could you implement something that could do it cheaper? Could that 100,000 be less than the 30,000 increase? Could we save like 10,000? And you wanna hear what my thought is on that?
I do.
The 10,000 is taking someone that we have down there like Buddy Bowen and put him in DPW full-time and put a part-time person working with Jim. We're gonna spend less. I think you're gonna be no benefits, lower pay. We're gonna help our DPW where we need help instead of always stealing people.
but does this guy have the credentials like a CDL and things like that to be able to?
He's higher than a mouse.
Been in this,
Huh?
20, 30 some years.
Yeah,
I don't know, that's why I'm
got
asking
some
the
pretty-
question, I don't
He
know.
might not have a CDL, but he knows as much about.
knows about what we do and a skill set that would help us get work done. I'm just saying, the only way I understand how you say you got the 100,000. If you keep spending like we're spending, it's gonna be 100,000. So you gotta if we, how's the only way we can spend differently? And the only way I know how we can spend differently is put it less expensive.
The whole big picture of the transfer station. Now, the bottom line, we're $278,000.
Mm-hmm.
Chad might be right about doing something different. I mean, something's gotta happen here in a positive way, and this is going the wrong direction.
And, well, it's, I wouldn't say wrong direction. I would say this is just inflation.
This is,
This is the economy we live in.
This
This
is-
is,
right.
I understand that.
the way to, so.
I do understand that, but we tried to start out with having a 3% budget. If we end up with a 6 or 7 or 8% budget, people are gonna go nuts.
Well,
But
so the
just-
transfer station, we didn't increase any of that. We actually reduced that number.
I understand that, but just across the border, they just signed a 17% increase
Jesus.
in Washington County. So, I'm just saying.
So to your point, Glenn, let's move staff from here to there and then hire a part-time. You could do that, you would see a reduction here, but then you're actually paying more in labor over the whole, over the entire 030 and 010 budget, right? Because even though you moved this
because
guy
I'm still
here.
paying this person regardless of where they are.
Yeah, you're still paying him here, you just
Understood
added
that.
part-time over here, and that's just increasing.
And I'm not, overall, I'm not saving the money.
No.
I'm saving it in this transfer station
Yeah.
item, but I'm not saving it overall. I hear, you wanted to say something?
I was just wondering, how do our transfer station expenditures, how does our budget compare to some of the other towns around here? Joe, do you have any idea?
I did some research a couple years ago, and we were comparable to everybody else. I know, and I don't know what Pulteney's at now, but I know Castleton's dump sticker and their punch, I'm not sure if it's punch cards or not anymore, but their fees are much, much higher. Like, they're paying like $50 a sticker, while we're paying 10. It's an affordability thing that the select board has tried to keep for the town, and it's probably not sustainable anymore.
But I guess, that being said, and I'm glad you said that, that's where I'm coming from. Can we afford to do this anymore? Can our taxpayers afford this anymore? You know?
I'd like to hear if we had it from the townspeople on what they think. On your idea, Rich, honestly,
That would be for the meeting on the 9th, when you put up with questions or things you want. If you wanted, be careful, when because once you ask for direction, the expectation is you're gonna do something.
It might be a little too late to,
I
so
don't-
right now we're asking to switch horses midstream. We have a transfer station,
Right.
and we're doing the budget, it seems like a lot, let's not do that anymore, it's way too late.
What I'm saying is, I'm trying to shed light on this for down the road, because this can't keep going like this. I don't think. That's my opinion.
So is it, Mr. Greeno, in your opinion, is it the expense, or is it just the lack of revenue?
It's the lack of revenue to compensate for this expense. Okay?
I agree it should change. This has again been something that we've been working on for years. I think there's a lot of places we can save money. It's like the swap shop, right? We're implementing
We need to-
super slow.
But what we're looking for right here tonight on this budget, on this pass, is there anything that anyone here is recommending for any of those line items? Because when you look down and say, what can you reduce? Well,
a lot of them are set in stone with the hauling fees and stuff. I mean, nothing we can really do about that, can we?
It's out of our control.
Contract, yeah.
It's out of our control.
there weren't many that you had flexibility.
can't-
No, that's what I'm trying to,
That's why we're talking salaries, because when you get,
We can't say that we're not gonna pay our increased hauling fees, because that's not gonna do us any
we
good.
can only control, I think, those top three. 10.00, 10.10, and 20, yeah.
right, I mean,
Top three pop songs.
the only other line item after you get those top two line items,
I mean, the only thing I could think.
the only other line item you had was 01063-56.30. It looks like, there was a 33%, let me make sure I've got the right one,
HHH?
56, HHH,
HHHW.
W.
What is that?
It went from 3,000 to 4,000, and not knowing what,
Is it hazardous waste collection?
it's probably the cost of returnables or something that
Well,
you were
that's,
talking about?
that's a household hazardous waste that we have that people can bring their whatever paints and
Paint and everything else that
cans
you
of
pay for,
explosives or
so.
whatever they bring.
Okay.
And it's not, wasn't the one that was going to really significantly impact the bottom, that 14.5%.
No, it's only gonna impact it by $1,000
So,
bucks.
so in looking at it, we changed the overtime, took 1,500 out of that. And what I hear you saying is your comfort level of changing that 100,000. We could do it, put anything we want in there and then overrun the budget. That didn't help us.
All-in fees
Make
killed us.
everything, we can't deficit spend, so.
No, the salaries are the salaries, and it's,
Yeah.
and again, this is just, next year won't look like this, it won't be a 14%,
Yeah.
42% increase,
This
it'll be
is
like a 2% increase, because that's what's in the contract.
Okay.
So can I get, agreement that we're going to, pretty much with the exception of taking the 1,500 out on the overtime, we're gonna leave the rest as is and move on to,
Well, basically, we're leaving the 1,500 in, but we're flat funding that, so we're taking 4,000 out of that. Am I thinking right?
Opposite. We're bringing it down to 4,000.
we're bringing it down to 4,000, right, that's what mine showed. Let me come back and see.
We're gonna flat fund it to 0% increase.
It was 4,000 before, and we're gonna move it from 55 back to 4,000.
Okay.
Now we're on our way, where we've got special events.
We killed Christmas.
100%.
Much like economic development and, Cedar,
Page,
that got zeroed out too.
page 8,
I was taking everything I could wherever I could.
What did that historically go to? Lights, I assume, Christmas
I
tree?
asked the question, and I was surprised, because I thought I was saying, put some Christmas lights up and do something with it. And I found out it's a Christmas recognition lunch.
Yeah, it's the town's, it's the holiday party for the staff. Much like Danny gets a few $100 to buy pizzas for her staff. Once a year, we like to say thank you to our staff
Sure.
and get them some lunch.
So
Or
you're,
dinner as it may be.
so you're recommending no holiday party for the staff? When you put 0 down on that?
I will make that holiday party happen, even if it
It-
is.
It's gonna, even without that, then there'll still be a holiday party
I'll
for the
have a
staff.
holiday party.
See, I was, last budget, I was the one to push to get the $1,000 in, I won for Christmas. Cause I think it was a $500 for the staff, and I said, put another 500 with it and let's put some lights up, in the park.
December 16th.
And so when we were looking, a lot of people were talking recently about how we gonna get money for lights for the park. And I said, well, geez, do I have anything left of that 1,000 that I can buy a few strings of lights, what I was looking for, but I think we'd zeroed that out.
Right after Thanksgiving, you should have lights giving.
Lights giving, I like that. But, what are your zeroing out,
Yeah, I mean, I don't
or do
love
you
taking
wanna,
money away from an event to recognize our town
or
employees.
put that,
but-
to recognize the town employees so that Joe's not doing it out of his own pocket, we put 500 back. It would be consistent with the lunch we're buying for folks that are working, so they're not, you're trying to make decisions that look like our earlier decisions. And still make the managers or the people take it out of their own pocket. If it's right to do it, go and do it.
I think we ought to do 500 on that, I really do.
I agree.
500?
I mean,
And-
it's not quite, you're not really comparing apples to apples there.
Right.
I mean, the election workers also get paid.
Can I ask that for transparency and clarity in the budget, could we rename that line item employee recognition or something that more
Holiday party.
accurately describes?
Christmas recognition.
Well, I mean, we can call it Christmas, but you know, if I were a townsperson reading the budget, I'd want to know what that actually was, and I think.
Yeah, we can change that. You know, it's been a source of confusion for years.
Yeah, that,
And it's just what historically they did.
I'm just gonna come back and get confused.
it probably should be under the town manager category, was my thinking.
Right, instead of special events.
Instead of,
Yeah, it
Because
feels,
that's
it
what made
feels
me think
odd
it was
being
lights, because it was
alongside
under special events. I
Memorial
agree.
Day, concerts.
Put
in the
it,
park.
put it up under town, move it to town manager, and it's clear.
Now, here's
Yeah, we can do
here's a dumb question. Special events, wouldn't food truck frenzy be a special event? Would that go under here?
that's in the EDDP budget now.
Well, okay.
You're only gonna pay it once.
I'm not gonna get back into that. I was just curious because it's a special event. I wasn't sure, so.
that. You're not wrong.
I mean, I'm just curious because it was a special event.
Well,
and
but.
You have
but when
Memorial
you-
Day concerts in the
I'd-
park.
I'd argue that doing it 6 months in a row is no longer a special event, it's just a normal thing that's happening.
Just an event.
When
Right now, it's in the EDD.
I look
but
at
maybe we'll
Memorial
return to
Day-
the conversation.
Okay, I'm not looking to start it. I was just
No, no.
curious because to me it's a special event.
No, but of course, like
Okay.
I said, I'm not a food truck.
Oh.
Fancy and-
As a new guy, I'll sit back and be quiet as the new guy.
No, it's a good point.
Okay, but anything to that point on special events, anything else before I move us on the agenda, because I'm seeing that the hour is ticking by.
Sorry.
Can I mention concerts real quick? Because it did come
You
up.
can.
And it
You
was
can mention
how-
concerts.
How all our volunteers are leaving, and it's gonna be less. Almost all of the volunteers are coming back. We're gonna switch over from the volunteers cooking, we're gonna get a food truck in instead, so that way it reduces the burden on our volunteers, but
Yeah.
that said, most of them are coming back, and all of the bands but one are scheduled, so the concerts are still going forward just like they did before.
As long as Whalen comes back, that's all I care about.
He'll be here, he's already signed up.
It's good to hear.
Good, so that we made it, folks, through that.
Green Up Day,
class, and
that's for buying the bags, right? Green Up Day,
that-
the Vermont Green Up Day,
Yeah.
that's for buying them bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 2 minutes for public comment.
Is there anybody here for it?
Yes, I've got public. Anyone have comment? Rose, what do you have?
I want to thank you guys for increasing the budget for the zoning board. I would like to, personally say that I really like the idea of taking one of the regular DPW guys from the dump to do DPW work and just get a part-timer in there. I really like that idea because granted, maybe we're not decreasing the money, but I think we're gonna get more bang for our buck. We'll have a regular DPW guy out doing DPW things. That's what the people in town are looking for. You know, I give them, I'm not I don't want to insult the guys at the dump, but I just think their expertise could be used in better places. If I'm hoping I'm making myself clear.
No, you're good. Thank you. Yes. Sure.
I don't know right now, but I will check into that. But I can tell you that under the contract, if one of them is transfer station and it's not DPW, you cannot force him to go back to DPW. With being union, you cannot do that. I don't know how the contract is written. I could get the information for you because I'm the shop steward, so I could get that information, but it would be something that would have to be checked into and have to be agreed upon on all parties, or it could become a big fight.
Yep, good heads up.
Just
Sean.
a heads up
Good
for
heads
you
up.
all. I am the shop steward, so just a heads up.
It's stuff we need to know.
Going into that, I mean, I can look into how the two transfer station guys' contracts are worded, if they're transfer station or transfer station DPW. I could look into that.
Yeah. I think you probably would see roustabout slash something. Yeah, but I haven't looked at it in quite a while.
I
haven't.
haven't looked at that portion of the contract to tell you. I'd have to know which one you thought you wanted to switch and look at their
But-
contract.
I haven't been to the dump in a long, long
But-
time. That's my
but the-
husband's,
but the-
that's my husband's job.
But the point being, before any changes, should have conversations with people directly affected, the
absolutely.
the union, and
I'm
all of the
my-
above.
My thoughts were not to change the regular days for the regular folks that are there now, but not to have to pull from DPW anymore to cover.
When they're not there.
somebody's off.
That was my original
That
thought.
is where, yeah, the big problem is, because like Saturday,
Mhm.
Buddy's not gonna be there, so I'm probably gonna have to cover Buddy Saturday.
Mhm.
You know, which Saturday we're not working DPW, it doesn't really matter, but then that gets back to that overtime thing that you guys was talking about earlier, because that's gonna give me overtime to cover Saturday.
Good. Moving right along, we're going into the parking lot. Anything anyone wants to talk about, or can I, because of the hour, where I'm gonna move us right along? Board roundtable. Nothing, Sam? Keith?
I got a text message from a resident yesterday at 2:30, concerned that two personal trucks of town workers parked in a 15-minute handicap parking and one not even a parking spot. Been there for hours in front of the town hall. That person wants to know why that privilege is being abused by town workers. I didn't see it, I don't know, it's brought up to my attention, so I figured I'd write it down and speak about it.
Look into it.
Okay, thank you. Rich?
I have nothing tonight, I've said enough.
Chad?
The storm drain on the intersection of Carnarvon and High Street. Did the Carnarvon Street storm drain system get cleared out with the
Which one are we talking about?
the
Which
big
storm
dig?
drain?
Carnarvon.
Trying to read it or not.
There's a little one that's damaged. Is that the one you're talking about?
That might be. I just noticed in the rain the other day. It was like we had a little Lake Bombazine going on in that area.
We'll take a look.
Just something that could be hazardous as we get to our freezing weather.
Yes, we'll take a look.
And then one thought that I had, maybe a solution to our tiny tree problem with the park,
One meeting.
is we've got some folks with some property, and I imagine some decent trees that might look good in the park. I think about a tree donation every year for the holidays.
And then a big deal lighting it and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, you can actually, you can turn
Not that we're going to
into,
compete with the Rockefeller Center, but
I know Santa
we
Claus
could do it a
too.
little bigger than what we have. So that's all I have.
You're good?
Would be nice.
I'm with Rich, I probably said more than I should have tonight, so I'm good. Let's move on with, the financial reports.
Make a motion to approve the general warrant of $114,551.12.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the payroll warrant of $38,828.09.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Rich, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And our checking account status sits at negative $81,399.64. So we're still climbing out of that.
Still waiting to get our water project paid for,
Yeah, or
which will
1.6.
put us back over the top. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for a contracts discussion, if someone wants to make it.
Make a motion to go into executive session for contracts under 1 VSA 313A1.
I second that.
Seconded by Keith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming, folks.